Hello and welcome to another ARML commentary stream. This is Eric K. or Flanso, and tonight I'm joined by Steve A. Zelkin. How are you doing, Steve?
Good. It's my first time back commentating since before WRC. So it's been over a month, and I'm glad to be kind of back situated at home and able to do this again.
Yeah, a few of us were watching very impressive gameplay from you when you were at the presentation table. That being said, we will be covering a whole multitude of games tonight, starting with this A2 final match between Christian, John, Anthony, and Aaron. We were talking a little bit about this before, but the two people who have the most stake in this game are Anthony and Aaron here. At the moment, Aaron is looking to stay ahead of Kaz, who is close behind. If he does that, he pretty much has a guaranteed shot of staying in the promotion zone, as only Lucas has an outside chance of kind of upsetting one of the spots. But at plus 17, that's going to be a hard feat to do in 2 games. Of course, Anthony is pretty safe as is. Down below, Christian actually wants to play defensively here. Or sorry, not defensively, but he's defending his spot to stay in A2. And John is going to be trying to leap out of demotion. Doesn't necessarily have to take over Christian because there's Sichuan in between at minus 106, but it probably would happen if John went over Sichuan since the points between Christian and Sichuan are so close. So yeah, we're going to see probably Anthony playing a little more defensive. Aaron's going to play probably a more normal Mahjong game, and then we'll probably see a dogfight between Christian and John.
Yes, John really need to thread the needle to end up between Sichuan and Christian here, and so it's pretty unlikely.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, it looks like we're going to get started in just under a minute here. First dealer is going to be Mr. That's Anthony, followed by Ranjan. That would be John E. And Kralin, that's Christian M. And CS Blue, that is Aaron E. Any second now.
Any thoughts you want to add on the player's stats for this season? I know it's kind of a small sample size to look at just 20 something games, but I do notice that Anthony's got a pretty outsized win rate, which kind of goes along with his score.
Yeah, if you look at Anthony's play record, he has like a disproportionately higher amount of seconds compared to everyone else there. It has 13. I think the next closest is 9 seconds. So definitely seems like a very consistent player as far as Rentai goes. 18 out of 24 games is very impressive. But it looks like we are starting here. Dora's 9, so dealer starts with a very solid hand. Already Ishan 10 now can accept the Dora. You want to pull in that Shabo first, if possible, though.
Going
Now,
around the table, we have John there. It's got a pair of East and a pair of Hatsus. Easily callable, but question is, how do you play the rest of the hand? You could definitely push for Honitsu here, but it might be a little slow.
yeah, now he's drawn in the 4th pair. There's even outs to Chitoy, but I'm thinking probably more of a Toy hand with the 2 Yakuhai pairs. The hand across the way, though, that's a little bit more interesting. It's a little less clear-cut whether you should go for the Toy or not when you have the 3-6 so like that. And I guess lastly, to round things out, over on the left, we have what could potentially be Yakuhai Honitsu Dora 1. So it needs a bit of work, and you'd have to throw away the 5-6-7 Mon, so it seems like that's probably not what's going to happen here.
Yeah, the way you're looking with that hand, drawing that 7-pin in there, it might even better to agree for an outs just on Shoku than try to force a Honitsu, throwing away a whole set.
Right. I was kind of surprised by dealer's discard of the 5 Mon there, because you do throw away one Pinfu out, technically.
Yeah, I think if you're valuing the 9-pin Shabo as stronger than a Kanchan middleweight, it's better, but you have a chance of getting, well, not a Tenpai, but you have a chance of getting Tanya if you don't hit the Dora like that as well. You threw away the 9-pin pair instead.
Right. Well, as is, we're going to have a 4-pin, 9-pin Shabo Richi. There's 2 left in the wall. Sorry, 3. That 9-pin is viable to come out from basically any of the players here if they decide to push. It's a little hard for them to directly make use of it. Aaron in a really tough spot there decides to fold out, starting with the 5-mon Genbutsu and now the 7-mon.
Pulling this and resume by pushing the cheap Manzu tile. Yep.
So actually, it looks like it's
Tudora off
yeah.
attempting to push it.
It's Christian who might be in danger here with that 4-pin if he gets Tenpai, either on the 5-8 so or any of the 3. And it happens. One Ura. That makes it painful. 77 to start off the game. So we're going to go into East 1, repeat 1 here. Dora's 7-mon dealer does have one of those in a pair of Yakuhai, and decent shapes all around. Not quite as impressive as the last hand, but easily callable. Anything else around the table sticking out to you?
Good shapes from John's hand. Just the Sanmen Chan already set in Manzu. It's got 2 pairs, but a 1-1 Shabo, if you get there, is strong enough, plenty strong to Ricci. And Aaron's got outs to Itsu. I don't see a lot across the table. It's slow.
Yeah, lacking any Yakuhai way to speed up the hand with opening. That's probably going to be the slowest of the bunch.
Meanwhile, Anthony has picked up a con in hand. Interesting to toss the 8 there because the 4 blocks of the hand were already set, but technically they still are if you want to interpret that bunch of 2s as 1, 2, and then a triplet.
Right. Now Ishanten. I
But if you
imagine if
draw
you...
something near the Dora or the Dora, we'll see a con.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or if we complete any set, we'll see a con.
Well, it looks like Aaron has made his way into Ishanten. No longer has the Itsu out. That 9-mon was tossed on turn 4.
Well, that offers up a chance at the Sanshoku, depending on what comes in, but you have to reconfigure where the pair is. It doesn't call the Haku.
Well, there's the second one, and passes on that to probably think for... I don't know. I guess for higher value after the con if something attaches to the Dora, like we were saying before. You also have the opportunity to take like a Dora Tanki.
I mean, if you were to
But
draw a 6 or an 8-mon here, you could just con anyway, and if you get Tenpai, then you're just reaching with Haku as your pair. Maybe Anthony didn't want to try to find another pair, which is kind of understandable. It can be hard. You can go turn. You can do tons of turns not finding your pair if you give it up. And there's
yeah,
a time for it.
normally
There's a time to go, hedge against it, I would say.
and normally this 1-2-2-2 would be great because you'd have a 1-3 wait for the pair, but with 3 of the ones out, I can understand why he's hesitant for that. Oh, it doesn't declare the Ricci either over there, which is interesting. And deals into the Sancho Catania Dora.
Yeah, while we were talking about what Anthony was doing with his hand, in the meantime, Aaron had drawn a 3, like I said, reconfigured where his pair was, and then took the Sanchoku chance and got Tanya in the process. So good value change.
All right. He's 2 now. Dora is 5 so. Dealer has connection to the 5 so. And we're back, and suddenly, it's like, where'd that north and west come from? Well, it looks like Mizra has taken 2 fast calls here, going towards a Pinzu Honitsu ideally. Could also pick up the Dora 5 zone around men. And that'd probably be enough to make him reconsider, since the north is Yakuhai anyway. John's hand here is 2 Shanten, but I guess now it's not as bad as it was before. This is quite good. It is in some ways.
Ryankan, Ranmen, Ishanten here. So it's just a matter of what do you do if you fill the Ryanmen first. I mean, as dealer, you can
Right.
reach just about anything and try to scare the table away.
And I guess the one potential problem is whether you think you're fighting for the Pinzu with Anthony here, who is showing a potential flush. A long wait on that chi, and takes the headless Ishanten. Doesn't want to throw away the door of Yanmen. It's kind of a very tough headless Ishanten here, though. With two of the 9-pin already out. Unless you draw the 5, so you're probably not very happy.
Almost kind of a bluff too, because you could have Chanta there instead. And the whole hand is kind of unusual for the other players to figure out what exactly is over there. And again, as with a lot of Chanta hands, if you have anything worth fighting for at all, you can usually fight a Chanta because it's not worth that much.
Well, Christian is Yishanten, has been kind of fiddling around with the free slot for now and settles on the 1-so, which is safe to 2 players. Aaron is also Ishanten. Wants to pick up
Yes.
that 4-so Kanchan, ideally. And now this is tough because you do technically have the 3-6, but it's already mostly out, and you don't want to throw away the door anyway.
Looks like we're gonna have everybody wants a 4-so right now, pretty badly.
Yeah, John gives up on the 7-8-9 Shoku Ishanten. Shonpai Dora this late doesn't feel great.
So Aaron's waiting on 4-so. John is 10 pi on a 4-so. Anthony is 10 pi on a 4-so.
I'm actually a little surprised by the 9-pin drop from Anthony there, but I suppose it's a fairly defensive play given the calls that have been made. You put yourself out of a better Ishanten, but it's not that much better.
And while Aaron's upgraded his weight to the Ryanmen, so now the 7. So it's hanging out in Christian's hand will deal in, but now is an opportunity to change the pair.
Yeah, and I'd definitely go with the Suji on here. It's been once dropped by Toyman, but it doesn't matter. Aaron's going to get the sumo for Tanya Dora 1. 2 consecutive wins. And so I move right along into East 3. It's Christian's dealership. Dora is north. Currently, 2 are paired up in Aaron's hand. It looks like it could be a potential Sozo Hunitsu if you want to force that door in and be able to call.
Well, that draw, I guess keeping the other tiles for now. I guess the
Yeah,
stock is
this.
completely dead, so
Yeah, I was gonna say that.
I often
But
think that if I'm gonna play for that, I just keep it around as a safe tile and just really force it, because then I can at least push more safely later. I don't know if that makes sense, but that tends to be my strategy with that sort of thing.
yeah, that's it's a good consideration if you keep future safety, not necessarily for the short term safety of it, but because later on you want to be able to advance in Shanten without having to push anything against a Riichi or something like that. Is the general line of thought. I like to do that as well sometimes. But dealer's going to be Tenpai here. Kind of 8 mon, Riichi no Mi if it's taken. And just shoves it, which makes complete sense as the dealer. It's a row 1 Riichi. A lot of reason to reject that, especially with the Dora being harder to use by others.
And now
And
it
it
is
looks,
Suji trapped, so we'll see what happens.
yeah, it looks like John is willing to fight too. So if John fills in the 7 mon, oh, that's the worst case for Christian here. Anko over to the left on the one player who seems to be super willing to fight this.
Now as the pair, so can move things around and not cut the 8.
And even if the 3-pin gets pawned, you're probably still keeping all 3 8s for that 6-7 shape that brings in alternate pairs.
And Aaron has shown he's willing to Mawashi this because the 7 is not safe either, and he still threw it.
Yeah, and
He's
now is
a pretty good hand with the 2 Dora.
yeah, you're looking at a potential Mangan here. That's tough.
Make your own sushi, I guess.
Right. Now, the 4-pin Nakasuji doesn't look quite so bad now that the 1 has. And you definitely have the material to force it through. I'm interested, if you get the 6-0 Chi opportunity here, would you take it?
He draws the last 8.
Hmm. Well, regardless of whether you started with the 4-pin Nakasuji or went with the 8-mon Suji right away, it's probably going to end up dealing in.
Especially because that hand was getting to be, I mean, unless you drew a 3-so there, you were getting an Itsu chance and Pinfu and Tudora, so it was
Yeah,
worth the push.
well worth it. Well, dealer here is going to start off with a Yakuhai and access to the door and Pinzu, potentially a Pinzu Honitsu, depending on how things develop. Aaron over to the right starts with 4 pairs, and the potential to pair up the Dora for Chitoi Dora 2. So this very easily develops into a normal hand as well. I guess across the way we have 2 completed Mensu, 2 pairs, and now is Ishanten. Bad shapes, low value unless you do something with that floating Dora 6-pin if you're Anthony. And then last but not least, over to the left, John has a pair of Yakuhai and 2 other pairs to boot. And can now start calling for an open hand.
Yeah, more than one way to play that choice for Aaron, but I like the 9 pin. If you're not going to try to do a whole bunch of Pinzu for a flush, go for Tanyao.
Yeah, and even if the goal is a closed hand, tossing the 9-pin first is fine because this one's dropped from dealer.
Christian is Chitoi Shanten now, which a lot of pairs piling up around here. There's
Now,
Tenpai.
Senpai and yeah, takes the Dama on the 4-pin. 5-pin is once gone as the indicator. And now won't deal in if the weight is swapped, because we see a change from a Ryanman to a Shampon not wanting to drop the 6-pin Dora from John.
Aaron calls to break Ipatsu and takes an Otozuke Tenpai on 6-mon.
Looks like there's only 2 of those left in the wall, but
You only need one.
so Tajajar 1's gonna shut down the dealer again and move into Aaron's dealership. And this is a pretty nice hand to start with. You have access to the Dora, you have the Yakuhai, so you can start calling up the bad shapes. And you have, I guess, now with that 4-mon draw, pretty good material to form other Ryanmen in the hand. Looking around the table, we have that one call to the left. Looks like she just wants to shut things down here. And is definitely plenty capable of doing so with the current shapes.
What do you think about the 8-so there?
Well, between the 8-so and the 8-mon, I think they're both going to end up going in the end.
I think this is more of my playstyle thing that I would have kept the 8-so just for the outs at Honitsu because I don't like the Penchan anyway, but now that it's paired, there's Toy Toy on the line as well, so in this case it worked out. I wouldn't have chose that and would have been very sad, probably.
Yeah, I could definitely see cutting the 8-mon first there. I'm not the type to cut a penchant quite so early, especially if I have the opportunity to pawn into a Yakuhai and then call it later. Um, but yeah, better to cut it earlier than later if you're going to do that. But we definitely take the Z Shunt in here.
Oh yeah.
And 3-pin doesn't look that bad because you see the 2-2-pin discard by 2 separate players, but still not what you really want. I think you'd rather end up on the Shabo here. So 1-pin is also very strong for similar reasons. That's Ipatsu. Christian gets into
Suichi
Tenpai.
no Urus at 2600.
Small price to pay for Tenpai. Chose to take the 4-7-pin weight instead of the 3-pin Tonki, which makes sense if you're fighting a Riichi. So right
Starting
into
hand for
South.
Anthony is very good here. Just the shapes are all good. The door is usable. And there are a
Yeah,
lot of
definitely.
dragons in Aaron's hand. I'm looking over there.
Yeah, it's three honor pairs and a whole bunch of ways this could go. And it
Oh
starts
my
with
gosh,
putting
this
a
is gonna
pinch
we're
on
gonna
you.
see a fight here. This is gonna be brutal. Oh, he takes the Dama.
Dama, really? I don't know. I love the Ricci here. This is
Oh,
just like,
oh no! I'm watching these dragons pile up. This is hype, regardless of how hype we are.
yeah, this is a guaranteed Shosanken at this point. Yeah, pawn toss the one mon, and
At what point, if you're Anthony, do you reach you to try to instill fear? But it's like at this point, it's too late. There's gonna
and
be no
some
fear for Aaron.
it might work out in Anthony's favor too if people start to fear Aaron and toss the nine pin in.
No, not
But
anymore.
that
Sumogiri Ricci, if he was paying attention.
yeah, well, Aaron has no reason to fold out here. His
Oh,
Tenpai guaranteed Shosangen.
oh,
Yeah,
yeah, guaranteed Haneman here. The two Yaku's Shosangen Honitsu.
Chun is once cut, so if any of the other players continue trying to shove the hand, I can definitely see it coming out.
And of course, if Anthony draws it, that's just good night.
Oh,
Oh,
but it's sumo.
spicy. Shosangen
Absolutely.
to Yakuhai Honitsu.
This is exactly where Aaron needs to stay ahead in this last game. So going into South 2 with 50,000 points, it seems unlikely that he's going to end up in a position where he could potentially drop out of the promotion zone. Dora is the
And
North.
in the current scoreline, he's not poised to pass Anthony unless Anthony does something weird and drops into fourth or gets unlucky along the way.
Yeah, that being said, it would take a lot for him to fall out with a positive result here.
Yes. I mean, they could theoretically swap places, but it would take pretty much a 1-4 finish to do it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, dealer's hand is not bad here. Kutsuki 2 Shanten. Had the potential 1-2-3 Sanshoku, but decided to keep the more efficient shapes, and is now in Ishanten. Looks like that is the fourth pair. Sorry, the fifth. No, the fourth pair. No, it is the fifth
It's the
pair
fifth pair, yeah.
for question.
It's definitely an attempt at not getting rid of the door. You're going to go for a cheat toy. Do you believe in Suji Toitsu? Apparently Christian does not.
No, doesn't want the Suji Toitsu, doesn't want the once dropped terminal. Oh, and there's a pair up of the North for Anthony, who now has the double Yaku. I should pawn that. Yeah.
Mhm.
And it looks like Christian is doing the same, and that might lead the North to flow out. Of course,
Saw
Aaron.
Aaron is
Yeah.
in Yaku's Tenpai, right? No, it's Sanshoku on the 4.
Yeah, just the four.
I saw the 9 and immediately thought there's no Yaku, but I'm like, I know Aaron better than that.
Yeah, so that seven is going to pass. But the
Oh,
four is just going to. Here we go again.
somebody's in sumo land today.
Yeah, consistently able to shut down these larger potential hands and then score his own. Going into South 3. Oh, Christian's Pai here is just a God-given Honitsu. There's not much to talk about.
Now we can look around the table. Wants to call that the non.
Starts with the West here. Well, it's now Ishanten, and there goes the Honitsu, but there's still ways to force it back. Sorry, that's not Ishanten.
Sometimes the tiles it's still two Shantan, yeah. So sometimes the tiles just are like, okay, here, and then you get a hand, you don't play it the way everyone else thinks it should be played, and then you end up with a Ishantan anyway, because you don't draw any things in the suit. But we may still see a Honitsu shift here with one more Pinzu anyway, rather than taking Tenpai.
Yeah, it should definitely be a consideration given the score line of 15,800. It's not that much slower, especially if you can get something like a 9-pin Chi.
Oh, definitely, that's committing to it now. That is
Yeah,
Zadora too. Just didn't want to drop it.
So now you can even take an intermediate stage. You can pawn the 1 pin and hope to pair up the door, or just move for Honitsu or something like that. That shape's going to be hard to fill, though. 2 the 8-man gone, and we see 1 in Anthony's hand across the way.
We're gonna get to the moment of truth here in a minute when we see if we take a Dora Tanki or a Honitsu. The Honitsu depend. A lot of draws are incredibly wide.
Yeah, it's everything 2 through 9 now, I think. Oh, I think 3 does it as well.
Yeah, 3 would be
2 through
Tenpai.
9.
If you get a 3, you can cut the 5 and get a really interesting like 1/4 6/9 weight, the double Entotsu.
And sorry, it's anything 1 through 9. The 1 pin also does it.
Yes, it does. You just cut 5 or 8. So any Pinzu Tenpai. Not all the weights are that good, but some of them are phenomenal.
Tenpai for Anthony decides to Dama Yakulis Tenpai. 3/6 pin. Just chi and drop a 2 pin
She dropped the
probably.
6, probably.
Or the 6, either of them. Seems pretty decent here.
Looking at the board, I think I prefer the 2/3 weight, but they're both around equally held.
We can switch to the 5/8 here.
And it looks more live from the 7.
Uh, it's my favorite open paper. It's not going to add anything here. It's kind of unfortunate.
Oof.
Oh, well, even more unfortunate now.
You have to throw that back. I think almost every other option is free 10, isn't it?
You can get away with 8 pin, I think.
8 pin, yeah.
That's about it. Yeah.
8 pin would made the weight 4/7, expanding it out. But all the 4s are held. I mean, Christian doesn't know that, but
2 7 pins left in the wall. And Anthony's still Damaten here. No Yaku. Now we see our first aggression towards the dealer with this conform on Richinomi. A very aggressive move versus possible Onitsu with overflow on the 1 pin. But you figure they probably can't use it either. Well, Anthony has been kind of working around the Ruchi with the lower Manzu and is now back in the Yushanten. But it looks like it's going to be complete fold. Only 2 more draws left. So yeah, that choice to wait on the 7 pin does cost Christian the hand, but John doesn't manage to capitalize off that mistake either. So we go into South 3, repeat 1 with a Ricci stick on the table, doors 5 pin, and Christian's hand is nowhere near as nice as it was the previous one. Starts immediately with the 3, so probably eyeing up Kokushi. I guess that's okay.
well, not, I
But
don't know now.
you need to get above John here. I mean, you don't want to take a first place here and have John over 30k or something like that. Because I would almost certainly put you below John. I mean, that 5-pin draw helps. You can go for the called 7-8-9 Sanshokudora 1. It's just slow and awkward no matter which way you choose to take this hand.
Well, a tip that's often given in books and stuff is that when you have a hand that's this slow, you just call what you need to make your Yaku if you need to win the hand, because you won't win it if you delay, basically. I've heard that advice a lot.
So you should probably doesn't choose to G that. This now,
Obviously, you can afford to have a little more discretion and be more careful and not open and expose yourself to make yourself vulnerable when you don't have this score line and this league situation. But I think this is needing a little bit of a firmer approach.
yeah. Well, now has managed to maneuver into a headless 2 Shanten, which is good news for this hand with the 2 bad shapes, especially the overlap with the 8-9. So, but it might be too little too late. We have a Dora pawn over to the right. That's going to put Aaron in 2 Shanten for an easy Quitan. And Tenpai across the way. That's going to be a 5-8 Shabo. 2 left in the wall.
Yep. Aaron's Ishan tense, who's going to fight with his lead. How many tiles did you say were left? Yeah, there's 2 left in the Nobiton.
And with the Dora visible, it doesn't look like a particularly threatening Ricci. Well, Anthony's going to take that then. It's going to be a Ricci Nomi for 1300. And Aaron's probably just fine to fold out this hand if there's an easy enough way to do it. There's very little chance of anyone overtaking him. And this first place would satisfy the score condition he's looking for. Christian is going to have to go for the big bucks here. It doesn't really have a hand that looks like something worth a whole lot, unless you go for maybe Chitoi Dora 2.
Any sort of Mangan sumo here will be enough to Gyakuten into third. A Haneman sumo is enough for second. So, of course, with this hand, you're probably eyeballing Chitoi, Dora 2, take your Ricci, and hope you sumo. Especially having 4 pairs already, but there are other options with this hand. This looks like Aaron is playing this fairly normally. I don't sense any sort of high priority here.
Yeah, probably will consider starting to hoard some safety in the next couple of turns, though. I mean, you got the pair of 7-pin and the 8-so against Anthony. You have 1-so 8-mon, and Tuan is probably fine against Toyman, and then can probably figure something easy out for Christian. So this hand is easy to fold with, even if it does progress normally.
I guess it also
Well,
matters who's playing in the other game. Are Kaz and Lucas at the same table?
something interesting, Christian just turned down Ishanten with that 5-pin toss. It definitely seems to be tunneling in on the Chitoi over a normal
Yeah.
hand.
So do you know off the top of your head right now whether Kaz and Lucas are at the same table? Because that might make a difference for me if I was Aaron how I'd play it.
Um,
Oh, we just got a ping that
no,
they're
I
not at the same table. Okay.
don't. Okay.
Because they're at the same table, like what's the chances that they both overtake you, even if you deal in here in their
Yeah, it'd be
games?
very low there. They'd pretty much have to be taking like alternating first second. And Aaron's actually going to take the call there into Ishan 10 for a potential Tanya Dora 2.
Might also be considering that if he were to fold, he would lose the extra Uma.
Yeah, that's true.
If Anthony is in Tenpai.
Looks like we're going to finally see a Ricci here from Christian. It's going to be a 2-5, so wait for Ricci Dora 1. Not quite what you're looking for, and there's too many of the 2-5s out, and your Furry 10 for it, so you're banking on Ura here.
It's rough because if it gets dropped, you can't even run it, and then Aaron will just, if Aaron gets into Tenpai, he'll run it.
But will Aaron push the 4-mon? Does. And now they're both waiting on the same thing. Well, if John decides to push out the 5, so it might work out in Christian's favor. But looks like he's just going to be able to find his own Tenpai there. And Aaron's last draw of the West is pushable. So looks like we're going to have 3 players Tenpai. And that is definitely a huge help to Aaron if you're considering, like you said, having all 3 other players under 30k, because it kind of balances out a tiny bit more.
And with that, Anthony actually fell into third. So now, if you're John, you got a multiple considerations, ending it and getting second, and getting a score that'll lift you out. I don't know, that score is still negative though, so not being lifted anywhere. It's just that Kristen will fall farther.
Yeah, and Christian wants to recoup that Ricci stick, so you can imagine him having 16,700. I guess still needs a Mangan or Hanuman class hand here. And it's a little more
Mangan
clear.
Sumo will just take second place here.
Yeah, and this hand you can see a slightly clearer path to that. I don't really like the 2-pin discard because you could have had the Dora Ryankan, the 2-4-6, and you're looking for Tanya anyway. There's that is Ishan 10. One thing is you don't want to end up on some weird
We just pushing flush
Tanya.
here, yeah.
Yeah.
At this point, you almost need to. Aaron pairs up the Dora, which especially good draws a 4-so here because that gives you the Pinfu. There are a few ways to Tenpai though.
Yeah, with the 1-4-so out, that makes more sense to me. You want to leave the highest chance of your bad shape going in, so replacing the Kanchan with the Kenchan isn't that bad. But we're going to have the fast win here for Yakuhai. It's going to put Minster in second. Not over 30k though, so Aaron's going to get a sweet 41.1 there. This is just going to reduce the damage to minus 1.9. Probably doesn't care at all because 141.2 is perfectly fine in that position. John is going to take a minus 8.6, and Kralin will take a minus 30.6, which...
That minus 8.6 is that will lift June out of the demotion range with the point changes.
Yeah. Should update any second now.
There it goes. Looks like it's updating.
Yeah, there we go. So yeah, like you said, June is lifted out, and both John and Christian sink.
Like another game got updated in the meantime. Something looks a little weird.
Oh, let's see. John was at minus 120 and took a minus 8 here, and then Christian was at minus 60 something. No, minus 90 something or something like that, and
Okay,
took
it looks
minus
correct. I
30.
guess I wasn't paying close enough attention to Dustin's score.
Yeah,
It seemed like
I don't know why I expected like one of them to swap places, but they both took negatives here, so I guess that doesn't make much sense. But yeah, that's going to put Aaron at a very healthy 116. It seems super unlikely that both Lucas and Kaz would be able to overtake him, even playing at separate tables with only 2 games left each. I believe that.
I mean, Lucas could go 1-1 and not make it. I mean, you have to have big first to get 100 points in two
Yeah,
games.
definitely. I believe that our next game of interest is at 6 p.m. PST in about 15 minutes, probably 20 given the starting time. However, there were a couple of games that started at the same time that should still be ongoing. There's a B21 game, Tyus, Carl, Cruz, and Molly, and there's a B25 game with Edwin, Pio, Michael, and Patrick. I don't know if either of those are still going on. Looks like at least one of them is. And is currently in all last. I believe this is that first game with Matthias, Carl, Cruz, and Molly. Just trying
Currently,
to
a
get my
really ugly
bearings.
scoreline. Is that Carl with that's the toy man here?
I think so.
And quite an ugly scoreline currently if you're Carl here. Now it's being this is all last with a dealer Ricci. It's like almost all you can try to do is looks like it might have been some sort of Kokushi attempt. I'm not 100% sure what's going on.
Yeah, now it's going to be. Oh, I guess you could still get to
I don't know
Kokushe
the
with this,
score
but
line. I don't know the score line of the league. I'd have to look at it.
we get the 2-5 pin sumo. So each sumo Dora one Ura to make that a Mangan 4,000. So now Sophia is going to be looking at a chance to drop down. I for the life of me, I don't remember these usernames. Whoever the Roman number is, below 30K. So that might save Carl a few points.
It is interesting with the way the UMA is doled out with the sinking floating that it isn't really in is it Sophia Molly? It really isn't in Sophia's interest here to necessarily getting more points is obviously interest, but dunking somebody else below 30,000 when you have a 3-up situation doesn't get you any more. UMA
Right.
spares the person in last, of course, but if you're
Exactly. I
leading
don't know.
in a cutthroat situation, you just don't really care about that.
So Math star at the table is Matthias. Carl is who we thought Carl was. That's Kamicha over on the left. It's Cruz who is the Roman numeral there. MXMCVI or MCMXCVI. And Sophia is indeed Molly, who
Carl
is
has a
now
chance for
currently,
a big hand at least.
yeah, will have to compete with Molly's Ishanten here that can Honten the Haku. Could even technically take a nasty Nakasuji trap on the 5 mod, though.
Okay, the scores on the side are now updated, and Mali is sitting in the first demotion slot, so the win here is definitely very much needed. Still many games to play, but
So it is in her interest to dunk Cruz then, who is right above. Does that make a difference to Cruz's Uma?
If Cruz gets dunked, yes, it will go from 0
Yeah.
to -5 if you get dunked. So yes.
Molly throws away the technically slightly better Ishanten with the 6 mon to keep this 8 pin. Probably looking for shifts towards Sananko. But your Tenpai now, you're just going to take the Richi. And that's bad news for this Dora 3 Yaku Honitsu over to the left, because
Definitely,
that 3
definitely a
pin is
little on the
stranded.
aggressive side because it's if you deal into that, you don't know if they're Tenpai yet. If you deal into that, you're possibly getting third here instead. But didn't
Oh,
work out.
Carl's actually in a kind of tough spot now, because he does have a promotion zone with only plus 11, but this is potentially cropping up to be a massive.
Whoa,
Oh my
what is
goodness.
this?
I mean, Pon Pon Ron. It's
Phone
that
run
easy.
48,600.
Or hopefully draw them yourself and surprise them even more.
Oh
But
my god.
they're all live in the wall, other than the one Haku in Matthew's hand. It's on Matthias's hand.
No, somebody can you can educate me here if because I'm not aware, Eric, or the chat can, but are those open diamonds or triangles? Are those playoff spots to advance or what?
I think those are spots that opened up because people in the higher league are taking a hiatus or something.
Ah, okay. I'm so excited for this iPie. I want it to come together. Those dragons are all walled, other than the one Haku.
I don't really get the choice to toss the 3-so on turn 3, but I guess if you're tunneling in on the Daisang and you don't want the Ryanman anyway, you can commit the 4-so to a pair. Oh, there's the first pawn, right?
Definitely a pawn, yes. And just cut east and see where you go, I guess.
I mean, the other 4 are still in the wall. It's
And
much more likely than
you
some
can
of the
take the
others we've seen.
Shosangen Tenpai as we saw Aaron do. Here's the Tenpai.
Oh,
It's
but do you want
18,000
to?
points. Apparently she doesn't, but it's 18,000 points.
Molly is at a minus 125, and the closest promotion stop is minus 58. So there might be something in that.
Yeah.
Oh, the tune is picked up. Comes out.
Oh,
Daisang and Tenpai.
oh my
Forso
gosh.
Hatsu. Now, if one of the other players is ballsy enough to get rid of the Hatsu, and we've seen it done before, it's going to be massive minus 48,000. Would even save Carl.
They're both live still. And the 4, one is held, but
With the hand being a dealer Hanuman, I don't imagine that the 4 would be passed, because it's still a very significant chunk of points. Wow.
that's very, very bold.
And to take the Ipeco instead of the, oh, I guess it would be for Britain, yeah. But
Yeah.
you can probably just Dama that. That's like you said, incredibly bold with the potential Daisongen and none of the Hatsu showing. That
I
is
mean, the
looking for
chances of
trouble.
the 8 coming out to the Ricci are pretty good.
Oh
It's
no,
unfortunate.
that's it. Oh, that's gonna be Richi Peiko Dora one Ura
Ooh.
for the Gyakuten, I think. Wait, uh, yeah.
Yeah, very close there.
That's a really unfortunate
Once you get
ending.
the Daisank and Tenpai, you're just pushing it.
Absolutely. Well, Carl's unfortunately going to take a minus 47 there. It's rough. Doesn't look like that's going to put him in demotion, though. But this is only the first game.
We got a ping from in the chat saying that if the players with the open triangles are positive at the end of the season, they promote.
Oh, okay, I see, I see. So in that case, Carl is in trouble, but not for demotion. Yet. Um, Carl does want to get a positive result after here. Looks like only Clinton at the moment is over that 0 threshold to take that conditional promotion spot. But Edwin can easily get it. Carl can probably easily get it in any of the next 3 games. Joe is going to have a little bit more trouble. Oh, well, Joe is done with the games, but Ryan also has a decent chunk of 4 games remaining. And Molly could still escape demotion, especially since Cruz is closer now after that minus 47. But like we said earlier, we're probably going to be switching over to B3 2 game with Steven, Rizing, Ryan, and Amari because we haven't covered them yet, and that's going to start at 6 p.m. So I imagine we'll take a short break now and then resume once we get that heads up that that is starting. And welcome back to this night's ARML broadcast. Unfortunately, we are experiencing some delays on that B32 game, so for now, Steve and I are going to be looking at this game in A2 with Dustin, Kevin, Kaz, and Daniel.
This will be an interesting follow-up because the big shakeup at the bottom with the last game we just covered puts Dustin now needing literally 1.1 points to get out of the
Right.
push range. But obviously, if you can get above Sichuan, you're doing pretty good, and it's not in an insurmountable gap. So, chance here.
Yeah, big chance. Dora is the East. Dustin starts with fairly good. And would you consider calling the Formon here if it came out?
This early, probably not yet. That's my own greediness because I want to have a chance at 3, 4, 5 Sanchoku. If I
Now,
call the
definitely
Formon, I
not.
can't. Yeah, now definitely not. But yeah, so
So
if
I
I want,
wonder
if I want
what.
to like keep my dealership and preserve it, I start to think about speeding it up right around this time. So a couple turns ago, I probably wouldn't have called it. But now
I'm
it's an
just curious.
excellent draw.
Yeah, no, I'm just curious about what the 7-mon keep was for over the 4-pin, which bolstered the 3-4-4 pin. Because I didn't really see any shifts around there, and normally Dustin has a good reason for keeping alternate floaters like that when it breaks Ukeda, but it might have just been an oversight. Either way, this is a very nice Ishunten. Looks like the East has
And,
sort of been. Yeah. So 3608, 4 left in the wall. I was going to say, it looks like the East has been somewhat neutralized, but it is only one copy out, so we might worry. And Tenpai for Ka is on the 4-7, so chooses not to chase. And now draws this East, and yeah, like I was just saying, it's a once dropped honor, but it is double East Yakuhai for the dealer Richie here. It could easily be a Tonki.
if it's Shabo and you deal in, you're kissing 18,000 goodbye. So
Yeah, which is, even though it is East 1, you never want to start a game off like that. As is, I don't really see it coming out of anyone else's hand. If Daniel pushes, it's probably slightly more likely to be for the Chinitsu, Chitoi. In which case, the 6-0 could technically come out for the Chitoi, but now with this draw, decides to play the Nakasuji. Yeah, the Chiso did come out in the Ipatsu turn from
that's a lot of
Kaz.
those. I was going to ask if we were going to see like a outs to Churen here, but it's pretty hard to get a Churen when you have two middle pairs already. You have to push an awful lot to get there too.
Yeah, you'd
I'm
want to
just
have.
dreaming after seeing the Daisangen. Oh, there's the sumo.
Next last towel is drawn in and makes it to 26 all because of the 20 fu from Pinfu. Still a great start. We go into East 1, repeat 1. Door is the 1
Some
pin. Looks
very
like
good
there's.
Manzu shapes already. We'll see what fills in. But this could easily pivot to a flush if you get better blocks than the two Kanchans in hand.
This could be your Churin you were asking for. If it wasn't for like the 1-mon coming out and tried one from Kaz, who has started with a pair of the Dora and now has 3 pairs of completed Mensu and 3 other shapes ready to go. Easy cold 3 Han there, even a Mongon if you get the 4 pin. Meanwhile, Dustin has managed to shift around there to the 4-5-6 Ipeko. Had
This is
Ishanten previously.
very bad.
Yeah.
So if I drew five mon here, I'd probably just Dama the Ipeko and then see what happens. Because I'm greedier for more on my dealership.
Home.
There we go. We got to commit to the
I
flush now.
was wondering if the chi or the pawn is better there. I'm never good with those decisions. I think I like the chi slightly
I like the
more.
chi slightly better because it leaves you like a more open pawn 10 on the 9 without leaving like awkward stuff in the middle.
Chi.
Right. Well, there's the first chi for Kaz. Decides to ditch the extra door and takes the Atsuki Yishan 10, looking for the Chun, which is still completely live. Oh, and it looks like that B3-2 game has just started, so we'll probably be switching over in about 6 minutes.
Meanwhile, Daniel has a tenpai for Sanshugu Dora, but you could pick up a Junchan with a 9, which just makes this a lot nicer.
Chi.
You're already holding 2 though, so it's pretty long. It's a long shot.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we know that's not going to happen with Kevin having the final one and Quick Guy being off in these rules.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, you definitely consider calling the 9 and dropping the 6.
Where's Chinitsu Tenpai?
5-8 mon
Yeah.
wait
2 each left.
versus the Atazuke Chundora 1, which also has 2 left.
Sumo.
Oh,
And sumos. Where's the second? I guess there was a second one walked in that I didn't mention, so must have drawn one back. Oh, we go into East 2, Kaz's dealership. Door is the 5 mon. Kaz starts with this kind of. You want Daisangan, but you're not going to get Daisangan with this hand, so the Hatsu comes out.
some people would
And
call you a non-believer.
they would. But the Chun is already
I
munching
like
munching.
watching other people dream because I'm not brave enough to do it myself.
Looks like the dealer's hand has entered 2 Shanten. Could easily still go for a normal hand here with those consecutive Sozu pairs. I could also consider 7 pairs. And now you even have the option to go for like a Mentan Pin Ipeko and drop the Chun pair
I was gonna
if you
say
don't get to.
if you draw a 4, it's like you 4 pin, for example. That's like
Well, 4 pin for me, it's a little more controversial because I'm Tenpai at that point.
yeah.
But if I draw the 7 pin or the 3-6, so I'm definitely going to swap.
You draw into Chitoi Tenpai with anything other than with anything really here. You could also, if you really wanted to be a dreamer, you could drop the Chun pair and try to get a Rian Peiko.
Oh,
But
absolutely.
you need a 3 or a 6 so to make that happen first, really. That's the problem here. And making an Anko out of any of these pairs also changes the way the hand plays quite a bit too.
Looks like there's a potential Chitoi over to the right as well. 4th pair just drawn. Could even get a Menhon Chitoi. Though with the Dora, you're probably looking to
Home.
Dora. Actually, drops the Chun. Which is an interesting decision there. Be aiming for Pinfu instead.
Ich.
And we have a Ricci across the way. 3 So Penchan for Ricci Dora 1. Could put Kevin in danger here, as
Chi.
that 2-3-3-4 Nakabukure shape is liable to overflow the 3 So. And we see a Chi from Kaz, who is now 4-5 So Tenpai. 2 of those left versus the 2-3 So in the wall.
Sumo.
Oh, that worked out.
It
I
absolutely
was about
did.
to say that I probably would have thrown away a 4 or 5 instead of the 8 pair there, because I don't like Ren Shanpon weights because they tend to suck. But you only need 1 tile to make
Right.
complete the hand, so
Yeah, the 8 pin definitely gives you a higher quality Shampoo. Looks like just another 2 minutes before the other game should be going live, so we'll probably make this the last hand. But Dora is the Hatsu. Dealer has a single of those. One went on second turn from Daniel. Doesn't want anything to do with it. And the other two are still in the wall. Looks like Kaz is going to sacrifice it as well. It's kind of a mediocre hand at the moment. So the shapes aren't half bad, and you have upgrades to Roundman, but you're not looking at any huge value here. Maybe Rishi Pinfu.
Yeah, I think you need to keep everything in the hand, though, if you want to get the best efficiency. The Hatsu is definitely good, because two pin here, just you throw away a pair, and you're going towards Pinfu with a really good Sun Menchon 5-pin. If you draw a 1 or a 2-mon, you can play around by cutting the 3-pin and go for a Sanchoku. There's a few different options.
Right. For now, Sanchoku is going to be dropped. You see 3 of the 2-mon. So the 6-0 is accepted to bolster that 8-0 pair. Gives you the outs to Pinfu if you can get your 7-0 first. And then that would leave you in perfect T-Shanten. It's like a lot of the other hands are just a step behind the dealers. That definitely helps a little bit for Kevin, because you can consider some kind of Tanyao calls, but I don't know.
What Tanya calls with that hand is there's too many blocks on the outside for me to.
But yeah,
Really
the
wanna
problem
call
is
for it.
even
It's
if you
rough.
get the 6-mon chi and then you toss a 9-pin, you're still in a kind of awkward position where you want these middle tile pairs to triple up. We'll see if that call is taken here. Passes.
Interesting choice, the 3. I think. I don't know. You can tell me you have a difference of opinion, but I think I would have gone with 1-so there.
Oh, I'm looking at the wrong hand.
At the dealer's hand. When the 4-so is dropped, is shifting to Tanyao.
Yeah, I definitely consider it. Because then you can call the hand. I don't think I would obsess over Pinfu here. I'd still toss 1-so here. Because by the book, when you have another middle tile pair like this, you can easily form a Ryanman and get a 2-3-4 Sanchoku out of it. It'd be nicer if more of the 2-mon were live, but
I was dreaming a little while ago, saying that in my head, thinking the 2-3-4 is still on the line if you draw the 4. Well, the 4-so came, but the 2-mon is all but dead, right? There's only one left.
yeah.
And the 4 is actually all held, so it's not going to go anywhere or discarded.
I should probably palm that. Yeah.
And with that, the 6-pin comes back again. Does that help the hand? I think the 9 is probably a better cut. Oh, there, now it comes out.
And the 5 comes out. So Kaz is going to pick up a Tanya Nomi here for 1500, and we are going to swap over to B32. So be loaded in soon, and the stats will change in just a few minutes. We have Jeremy here helping handle things on the back end. Thank you, Jeremy. And it looks like we pick up in this game in East 2. Scallion would be Amari. Who's next? Steven is on our right. Over on the other side is Ovar, who is Ryan D. And then Rizeng is our current dealer.
And I'm going to wait for everything to update before I even try to get any of that right.
Yeah.
Using the screen is a lot more helpful. I'm also interested in seeing the score line for these players as well. It's a little bit harder to see here because we don't see all the names because there's so many more players in B3.
Right. I don't know how many players there are. I'm going to check on my phone and I can see the full thing there to see how far away the demotion zone is. So
Well, there's no demotion zone in B3.
1、
Oh, you're right. You're right. You're right.
1、
So currently there are 32 players there. So Steven is currently sitting at 30. Below is Jocelyn with minus 176, followed by Eliana with minus 289.
Dealer
So
making
yeah.
it. Richie tune Ancon into Dora 4.
Oh, you love to see it. And you
You get a
definitely
really,
take,
really nice weight here, too, if you draw the Desozu.
yeah. Yeah, even the Sozu Furiten San mentioned is fine. Though you can just as
A
easily
little bit of a
cheat.
backfire with the 7 drop, though.
ロン、
And Richie is going to take it here. Reach pin Fudora 1 anywhere. 1 for Mangan. So we'll move into Steven's dealership. Dora's 8 pin. Shapes aren't too terrible, but you have a bunch of Yakuhai junk for now.
Looking at the score line, though, over on the right side of the screen now, we see that Ryan is in the absolute lowest guaranteed promotion spot, although I think that we've already been over what the open triangle means, and all those players are currently positive. And Rizang has a 3 points to make up to get one of those spots, and the score is currently positive, so a little bit on the line for both of these players to promote up to B2.
Yeah, still 2 games to go. But pretty much everyone around them has finished. Not sure what's up with Jinwoo there. Seems to maybe have to take a hiatus or something with only 12 games in there or miss some games. But regardless, Dealer has just paired up the tune here. None of the Dora 8 pin are visible yet in anyone's hands. Upgrade to a Ryoncon there for Dealer. Possible 2-3-4 Sanshoku.
ポン、
And it looks like we're going to pawn into 2 Shanten. And Ryan on the right has been struggling to draw into Tempo with this Tenchan. And then Yushanten does want to draw the 3-mon to go for the Pinfu. Would also be fine drawing an 8-mon and expanding to a Sanmanchan that accepts that uses the door, but now you're Tenpai
1、
and just takes a standard Tenchan Dora 1 Richi.
Oh, no Dora. Just a
Oh,
Richie
right,
no.
right. In that case, it's probably a little too late to finagle around, but the 4, 5, 6, 7 pin is quite nice for drawing into a better Tenpai and
If you
accepting
draw
Goran,
an
like I said
8
earlier.
pin, you'd have a Sanmenchan, and you just jam the button. I think I would have thrown the Penchan away there.
Yeah, I might have done it a little earlier, like on the 5-mon draw, so I could maximize that, especially if my intention is to not take Tenpai like this. But then, of course,
The
you'd throw
dealer,
away
no
the 3-mon.
fear, just throws the Dora into the one chance Dora into the Ricci, which, I mean, if you're the dealer, got to protect that point winning
I
capacity,
guess
right?
it is no chance because of the 7-pin indicator, but it's still near the Ricci tile, so
Oh, yes, it is no chance. You're right. Well, it's Kabe, so.
yeah, still wouldn't be surprised if it was like a Shabo or even, in weird cases, a Tonki.
And especially with this hand, like, doesn't have a pair in it anyway. I think it would have greeted the Dora. There's certain things I'm willing to dream about, and Dora Tanki is one of them.
Oh, we have another Dama hand from Toyman on 5-8, so looking to maybe snipe the last 8 so, but I think this is also just fine to Ricci. Amari doesn't really have very much to lose here, so going for the kind of cheap one-hand dama isn't going to help you much towards promotion. See if someone drops that 5-mon. Oh, there's only one left for the dealer to win on, and now this 8-so is drawn. That's going to deal into the dama pinfu. So you pick up 2k, including the stick. All right, East 4, Dora's 6-pin. Dealer's hand here starts with very doable Ricci. Maybe pinfu, just get rid of the Yakuhai and see what happens.
Yeah, it's 4 blocks for the dealer with floaters, although the that helps. But the dream draws give you an Itsu here with the hand, barring picking up any other middle floaters. Going around the way, Amari has 1, 2, 3 pairs. No Yakuhai, usable Dora. Looks to be a standard Ricci hand unless you cut a pair to get like Pinhu or something.
Very interesting pawn from the left. Steven is opening up fast. I guess the idea here is to go for Toy Dora 2 or Dora 3. I feel it's probably a little bit premature, but you can also shift this towards Tanya.
Pass that pawn on the 1 too, so maybe hedging.
And yeah, now definitely just going for the Tanya Dora 1.
This here is Tenpai, but it's Richinomi. Does choose to take it.
Yeah, it goes for the early dealer Ricci scare, hoping to push people off of this. 1-8, so outmakes this less than ideal. This is definitely a play that I imagine Naga or Hakuchan or any of these other Mahjong AIs would be saying you should take.
A lot of the Mahjong AIs will Ricci anything if they're the dealer. At least earlier in the game, I mean.
Yeah.
This hand, personally, I see better hands on a 4-so, on a 5-so, on a 6-so. I'd even care the 7-so gives you an Entotsu, so you go into Hatsu, so I would just wait.
Yeah, even if you Dama here, you have the option to pawn the Hatsu and take the 4-7-so wait.
Yeah, so with personally, if I got this hand, even as the dealer, I probably wouldn't have reached it.
Looks like there's a 4-so Tanki over to the left. That'll be the Tanya Dora 1 that eventually did come together. So it's looking like a 2 versus 3 in the wall. The thing is, if Steven draws it, the 8-so, that is, Steven is probably going to switch over to the 5-8-so. And yeah, that's another way it can happen, I guess.
Goes the right Nobetan to avoid dealing in, but yeah, it's kind of a natural flow too. The tile toward the outside is a little more likely to come out.
Yep.
This late in the game, the fact that you can see 1 doesn't really impact anything.
Steven probably looking at that and going, damn, I should have taken the other Nobiton, but would have dealt in. There's another, the 5-so gone.
Still haven't seen any 8-so other than the one that got drawn, so there's still 2 in the wall.
And Tenpai over there is drawing dead on the 5-6-so for Tanya and Dora 2. Unless Steven decides to switch out the tank, it drops the half suit G5, so
Another way, no, doesn't choose to shift the Nobitan again.
yeah, wants the guaranteed Tanyo. And I believe
I
9-so
mean,
had
yeah,
passed.
if you put the 9-so in your hand, you're not winning the hand. You're just holding Tenpai until the end.
Haite does not sumo, gets a 2-mon, which is safe enough. I think it did pass, so 1k for 3 players. Rizeng is going to pay out the 3k there. These 4 repeat 1, Richie stick in the middle now. There is the 6-mon, dealer can accept that. Could go for a 5-6-7 Sancho Catania Dora 1. I guess we do have 3 pairs to start with on the right. Still a little bit awkward other than that. Uncle of the 9 pin across the way, along with
That's
a 7-8-9.
Ishan-ten for Junchan already.
It's just, yeah,
It's like, here you
you
go. Here's
Aragiri 8, so I guess.
if you really want the Junchan, you can keep it over the east and then always reduce the 9s to a pair. Depending on what comes in, of course.
Yeah.
But it's like ready-made Junchan or Chanta. It's like you can't really argue.
If you wanted to really camouflage things, you could drop the tone there and then pretend to be going for Honitsu with the 4 pin, but it's not worth it.
Nah.
Once dropped east is just fine, defensively and for the Chanta, if you draw into it. Well, 2 quick pawns over to the left, but still very awkward shapes. You have 2 Kanchans, and I guess you're looking to Doratanki?
That's kind of tragic that the 8 was pawned because the Sanshoku Chanta, Shantoku Junchan is there, but there's only 1 8 left.
And it
That's
looks like
it doesn't give you any Sanshokus, but it's still plenty worth it for the dealer to take this.
You just dropped a 7-mon. Long thought about this.
Loses the Shabo. That is drawing dead.
I think this is. This we know is a blunder at our level. It's a very interesting play. I didn't really even consider it.
I was like, maybe you throw the 4 instead of the 7, but you're just losing out on Ipeiko. I didn't even consider that Tenpai at all.
I was just about to say that it's unfortunate that 2 of the 1-so came out because Rising did toss out that 1-so as a result. Could have potentially kept it around to draw the 2-so, drop the 7 pin, and then drop the 9 pin and turn into a pair like we were discussing earlier, and still got in the Junchan like that. Fearlessly shoves forward the 7 pin. Maybe a little more confident.
Fearlessly throw forth the pay. Keep your chances at Sanshoku. There's still an 8 left, right? I'm greedy. I would have just pushed that hand to the ends of the earth.
Yeah, it's safer, and then you can always push that if needed at Tenpai.
Yes.
That does Nakasuji trap the 4 pin, though I still don't see it readily coming out of Steven's hand. Unless they get like 5, 8,
then
and
there would have been a run if
the
other way was taken.
You also, like, on top of losing the Pinfu and the Ipeiko chance, you also lose the chance to pick up another Dora.
Mm-hmm. I mean, yeah, getting the Ipeiko Takame is huge because it's 2 more Han, it's Dora and Ipeiko.
Yeah, guaranteed Hanuman. And we finally see the chase.
Donkey for Chanta, for Richi Chanta.
Why are there still 3k left in the wall?
Your guess is as good as it's right. Oh my gosh. That's why. So this can happen. Oh, Nora, just
Maybe, yeah.
manga. Crazy.
Oh well. We are going to move over to Amari's dealership now. Is South 1 or is 7 so? Pretty good starting hand. You're hoping to get the Itsu, Dora 1.
What do you think
I
about
mean,
the pay Tanki there to guarantee the Chanta versus taking 6-9? I don't know how many nines were left. That's the thing.
yeah, I didn't check at the moment. I do kind of like the greedy Peitanki. I think if someone has like a pair or an uncle of them, especially since you haven't seen it come out yet, that against two Richis, they might maybe take the chance that they drop from that to defend.
Mm-hmm.
But there was only really
Yeah.
one player that could have really applied to, unless Steven had an uncle of the pay and it wasn't Ponyo that he was going
Either
for.
that or you could just assume they're all still in the wall for whatever reason, which in this case
Yeah.
they were.
So yeah, I'm totally fine with that. I
I
think
was fine with it either way. I just didn't know I didn't have time to check how many nines were remaining. That was kind of the interesting question because you have two already, so you need that to get Junchan.
was it the Mon?
It was the Mon, yeah, 9 mon. It was 9 9 8 7. So 8 was drawn into it for Tenpai.
Yeah, then I think that's maybe even better because the 6 Mon is Dora.
Yes.
But yeah, like you said, depending on the number of 9 Mon left, you can also just lock in the Peitanki, and like we saw, it was the right choice.
Mm-hmm.
Very results based thinking, but I like it.
Hey, it was fun at least. It was like, why are there no payout? Oh, it's because it's Ipatsu Sumo.
Dealer unfortunately dropped the 1, so 1 turn too early and misses out on the E2 chance, but immediately draws into ideal Tempai for Pinfu Dora 1. Could potentially be a Dora 2, and Sumo on the door would be quite nice. 3 left in the wall though, and only one of them is the 7 so. Immediate con into 4 Dora.
Another con into Dora 4. This is the second time we've seen that.
And I'm just thinking, well, neither the 3-6 pin nor the 6-9 so are good boots to the dealer, so
They do have a good shaped Ishan 10, so it's like
oh yeah, that's an easy push.
uh-huh. With the Dora 4, it is an easy push, but it's like I don't know if I have what it takes a con to begin with. Because
Yeah,
you know it's
I'm
safe.
I might consider waiting
Too many years of
and then
like
conning,
ladder.
like cut the Genbutsu 8 pin, 2 pin, and then con Tempai, or who knows. Either way,
How
6-9
many?
so
How are the ways?
chase.
There's 6-9 is a chase. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 held. 2 tiles left. Is that correct? Am I counting this right?
I count 7, including the one in the pond and the indicator.
Yes. Okay, I miscounted something, but I don't know what.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
So there's
5 held.
two tiles against
Yeah,
tile, if I'm counting it right.
yeah, I think so. Big panic time if you're the dealer, but you have a good weight. And Sozu definitely is the most expensive suit, so I doubt the other two are just gonna freely give him up. Oh, now it's 1 versus 1. Amari probably had a mini heart attack dropping that 3 so. It's one of the last remaining live Sujis in Sozu.
So 4-7 is dead. So there's 1 6 so left.
And Amari has the Hote chance, but doesn't get it.
So
1500 for all, two formidable hands.
You see that those hands get revealed, and those two players are probably thinking, well, how many Sozu are the other two players holding at the end? Like the answer is all of it.
Oh, look, it's 678 Sanshoku. Uh,
needs a pair, but it's 678. Yeah, there's a pair. Got lots of pairs over on in Riseng's hand. Two dragon pairs.
which unfortunately that Hakupon will kill any thoughts of Shosangen.
Kills the dream, but
You could potentially achieve this for a double back on the Yakuhai, but decides to go for a little more value.
that's an interesting cut because that 6 is the Dora.
Yeah, I'm guessing that there's some kind of focus on
Onitsu, maybe? I don't.
Onitsu and Mon, or maybe a
Ooh.
Chitoi. That's unfortunate. That's
quite
why
a
we don't make
backfire,
those
yeah.
turns.
Yeah, I think when I do the 6, I would have just cut the 3/4 pin, even though you're giving up a Yanmen block. It's like I'm either want Honitsu or I want a Dora here to go with my extra stuff.
Yeah. Well, dealer Ishanten now. With one of the
Still
7 mon out.
guaranteed a Sanshoku, right, at this point.
Yeah, with one of the 7 mon out, I'm even contemplating just falling into Tenpai for Sanshoku Dora 1, especially with the Hakupon across the way, since they're both bad shapes.
It's also 2,300 points in the middle, so picking up the 2,900 as the dealer will put you in first.
Yeah. Now I think you have to make the regrettables. The 6-pin cut and be prepared to take the 7 Tenpai. You lose the Sanshoku like this, though. I would prefer
I
to
don't
cut
like
6
it,
pin
but I
here.
like Sanshoku too much.
There's even some like slight argument that you could get a Itsu if you draw. Oh, there you go, 6 mon in. But
I mean, you got to cut 6 pin here. Is the only cut that advances the hand. Okay,
oh, going back.
Interesting.
Yeah, not sure what the thought process is there, but that is going to put the dealer further from Tenpai. There is Tenpai across the way already on a Nobiton. That'd be a Hakunomi, 2/5 mon. Looking at 4 left in the wall.
I'm not 100% sure why that 6 pin is still there. Maybe focusing a little much on a potential Peiko.
And maybe thinking that there's some weird world where you draw another 6-0 and go for Intampin Sanshoku Dora 2. I don't know. It's ambitious to say the least if it's something
over.
like that. Yeah.
That's what it is. It's over. I don't have to think about it.
So that's going to pick up the 3,300, which included the 2 Richi sticks and the repeat in the middle. I think even if you're going the greed route there, you have to realize that the sticks are in the middle to grab, so you don't need that much to justify going for an open hand with this Sanshoku Dora 1. Either way, south 2, Dora is east. Currently, none of those to be seen. Dealer could take the pawn here, indeed does. Moves into 2 Shanten. Wants to call that 3 pin and 7 pin to put the hand into good shape Tenpai on 1/4 so. West Anko across the way, and not in bad shape either. Cuts an overlapping Pinchan. The other 2 players kind of in mediocre territory right now. Also worth noting that Steven is the only one under 30k at the moment, though both Amari and Ryan are very close to dropping underneath. So all 4 of these players have fairly similar stats, with around a 22%, maybe 23% average between the 4 of them, and a deal rate between 12 and 17%. Alright, fast Ricci here, waiting on the con 6 pin of Ricci Tanyo. There it is. Though surely if you're pushing here, you'd rather do the 9 pin. Or I guess in this case goes for the half Suchi 4 pin. Steve, are you still with us?
Yes.
Alright, cool, just making sure. I kind of started to lag a little bit there. Just wanted to make sure.
I did step away for a brief moment, but yes, I'm back. So we've got a Kanchan Ricci drawing dead.
Yeah, the dealer made an interesting push to the 4 pin. Kind of sacrificed the shapes low to push a half Suji instead of a Musuji 9 pin. But I still imagine that the 9 pin would come out first. The 7 pin was drawn. And with the Dora dead and being dealer, I guess you have some incentive to push here, though that 7 so pawn does hurt you a lot. Pulls off half your run and leaves you with bad shapes, more or less, and still 2 Shanten.
Well, it's back. It's a chance to change it. Oh, not quite the way I envisioned.
Yeah, me neither. But I guess the 3 so does look relatively safe with the 5 so dropped, the earlier 4 so. You see 3 of the, actually you see all 4 of the 2 so. So there was an interesting choice on the left to drop the 6-7 mon instead of the 2-3 pin. That might pay off now. I don't know, 2 pin still looks a little too annoying to try and pass here, though now with that 5 pin drop, might consider it. Two draws left.
Only getting 10 by here in the last 7, so that just change it, but it's high day, so it doesn't matter.
So that will make 3k for Steven. Helps out a little bit towards the bottom.
It
It's
does
Steven's
change a
dealership.
lot going into this hand because both the players who are no 10 there they're in second and third fell below 30k.
And now you have this nice fast tune hand to snap up the Ricci stick and the Homba. You could even potentially get the Sanong if you're really lucky.
Or a toy toy if one more thing pairs up. I mean, the blocks that are there that make sequences are not great. There you go. I mean, that's also Chi Toy Ishan 10, but not what I would have envisioned starting this hand out.
Right.
If I could wait
I
on
think,
1 pin, I'd take it in a heartbeat. I don't know about the 6 though.
yeah, 6-0, I definitely consider a Dama on it, but because I think you're fine if you take the 2400 plus the Ricci stick in the
Even
middle,
as
but this
chose to believe in the 6 so.
Suji to 3 so, whatever that means. Oh, the 6 so could come out here if Rizeng starts playing a little bit too aggressively, and
I
but
think with that, I
Rizeng,
think of that 8 pin cut, we're not going to see a whole lot of aggression because that's moving the
yeah,
shapes way too far backward.
has the lowest deal-in rate of the group so far at 11.6%. So yeah, with 160 in the wall, there's
That's
some
why I said I would
opportunity.
wait pin right there. The Suji will come out.
Yeah, there's some opportunity here for Ryan to continue pushing safely into this. Can even pick up that 6-0, so there's no danger of actually dealing in. It is definitely shown some aggression earlier in the game.
At this point, we might see Rizang push if some of this doesn't
Oh.
matter. Some of that Suji cleared up like that. That's almost venturing into like a Chinitsu territory. Oof.
Well, Ura 2 for 6k all.
Spicy shortcut to Haneman.
Or as I've heard people calling it lately, shortcut into no 10. It's definitely one of those hands where you better start with a bunch of pairs or get some fast, because you're going to be sitting there a while on Ishan 10. That being said, it does lead to high value hands like this, and that's going to put Stephen right from last place into first place and dunk everyone below 30k. And that's big in South 3. So we go into this hand with 5-mon being the door. We have a quick Chun pawn over to the right. Does have one of those 5-mon. Wants to clear up the 6-mon first. Toyman looking at maybe a Richie Tanyao door 1 with the best of draws. Then over on the left, we could have a potential Itsu and Sozu. And yet another is drawn. And if Steven wants a chance at getting to one of those promotion spots, he can't just sit back here. He has to still play very, very aggressively and go for an over 100k finish. Since there's only one game left, really, and you need to make up, 166 points and then still end up at plus 26 or higher. I don't think it's very realistic, but that's the kind of way you have to play if that's your goal.
Yeah, if you have two, they have 2 games left.
I think this is 3 out of 4, but it might
they have
be
2
wrong.
games left. I mean, the scores are just looking. I'm seeing one player with 21. It could be they missed a game along the way. That's sometimes what we see when we have counts on, or they're at a 5-player table. I don't think that's either of these cases.
Yeah, I don't believe I saw 5.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. The dynamic in both B3 and A1 is different than every other group division in the middle. Because in B3 you can only go up, and in A1 you can pretty much only go down. There's winning it, but you're not fighting for a whole myriad spots like you see here or in any of the other divisions. There's just one.
Right. A little bit of a weight on this 5 pin. Doesn't really help the hand out. Decides to take it anyway. And goes for the Shabo.
Choice.
1 pin, 1 6-pin left.
I was thinking the only reason you would chi that is if you wanted to drop the 1 pins out of the hand because they have like relatively higher safety.
Yeah, and even then you're opening up more, and I guess you are still left with the 8-pin Suchi, but well, you should definitely cheat into 10 by now. You're gonna drop the door Kanchan. You have to go. And 7-pin Kanchan is the final shape for this hand. It will be a Chunomi. Those 7s are currently dead.
They're all held.
And one was just cheat away, so it can never been dropped.
Doesn't con. Probably for the best here, because it's not drawing, it's drawing dead anyway. Is that 10 pi with a chi? Yes, it is. With 6, so it has to drop Dora and does it. Okay.
Figures it's probably safe enough given that it came out 2 turns ago and wasn't called.
Mm-hmm. And I can't speak to what these players do, but when I'm calculating something like that, I'm watching everybody at the table to see if they're simulgarying. Because if they simulgaried and they didn't call it before, it's still safe.
Hmm.
And I
Well,
like that switch.
yeah,
Not
that's a
only because
much
we
better
know the board,
shove.
but you're far more likely to
Each.
snipe the last one
Well,
right now,
Boom.
actually. But like it looks a whole lot more loose on the board.
I'll pick up 1600 plus the Honva, and we go into South 4. Ryan here just 5,400 shy of that 30k mark. Dora is the 9 so. Dealer starts with decent shapes, has a.
This is a good
I
start. I
was
mean, Ryan's just looking to not lose points in general, but
I say there's some ways you can finagle this into an Itsu.
mhm.
It decides to cut the Kanchan from the inside out. I think it's probably early enough that I could go the opposite way and hope to draw into a Ryanmen.
Really the big concern for Ryan here is just getting Ryan here is just getting over 30k, because at that point the Uma becomes 5 for second, and then that will move Ryan over Vikram.
Ryan does seem to consider that 5 pin for a moment, maybe contemplating a Chinitsu, but
Five is not a tile I would consider calling with this hand. It's there are a
yeah,
number of pins who I would consider calling to try to go for a flush, even this late in the round, depending on what I felt about the board, but that's not one of them.
yeah, 2, 7, 8 are all fine. I think 7 is ideal for both the flush
6-9
and
chi
just
is okay
Titania.
too.
Yeah.
Especially six pin chi with the 7-8, and then drop the ones pair, because you can still double back to a Tanya.
Well,
We
we
see
do have
the
Tenpai on
seven.
the
The
left.
7 is lit up here. I mean, the 4 is lit up here, but they're waiting for 7, but it's not. It has no Yaku.
Yeah, still one step away from getting the Toy Toy. I looked at that for a second and I thought Sancho Doko with the 6s, but you can only have mini Doko here.
Yeah, you can only get Sancho Godoko here with back-to-back 9 so draws, and then winning on it. And there just aren't any available to draw. I guess there are still 2 left, right? There's one in 2 hands, and so you could draw them
Yeah,
both
I
and
mean,
then win on it.
you
But
draw both and then what you're expecting Minzeng to drop it? Probably not.
I would just be like, oh, okay. Like
Well, now you're
if
not
I
going to
drew
get it.
one, I might dream, but it's now you're not getting it at all. But if I drew one, I might try to live that dream, but it's like I think this is just simply wants to pawn the 6 pin and then go for the toy.
Boom.
Yeah. Well, good luck pawning it because they're both in the wall. It's better to get it. And I guess the problem is that 2 of the players will absorb it if they get it. So now it's. Oh yeah, dealer would still take it. Tenpai.
And the game in A1 has started, by the way. So when this hand is done, we'll probably pop over there.
There's yet another pretend deal in.
Each.
Will the Dora come out here? Yes, it's a Ricci on 2-5 so.
Boom.
And immediately run because Tenpai is reached. Could have dropped the safe 6 so, but decides to try and target the Genbutsu and pays for it. The Mangan. Well, that's not going to cost Steven in the first place, but will drop it to a plus 21 victory. Followed
That's what
by
Rizeng
Rizeng.
wants, because Rizeng will move into a promotion spot, at least for the moment.
Yep. And it looks like Ryan is relatively untouched there. Does drop out of the main promotion spots, but still a good shot at things with one game left. And we're going to switch over to that A2 game now. Sorry, A1 with Amy, I believe.
Yep. Running to our notification channel started 2 minutes ago, so we're going to have to wait 3. If we get the scores updated, we can discuss that, though, while we wait.
So we pick up where we left off on Wednesday, I believe. Amy with a good, I want to say that she got first place in her last game to offset some of the loss from her previous game, where she had gotten a Baimon but still ended up in third. The big story, though, was Minko dropping all the way down to 7th place, is now almost out of the running for that first place spot. Of course, you're very happy about that. You're at plus 158 now, even with 4 games to go. You do have that temporary first. Vincent
Yeah,
right
I
behind,
wasn't in
though.
first before that, but any of these players could. Amy and Vincent especially could pass me, but in 2 games, any of them could snipe my first place spot.
Right. And then you'll have to fight back up, but you do have 4 games to do that. So nothing set in stone yet.
Yeah, I think whatever happens here, we have, in the 4 games we have, Kenyon and I and even Beaton is close. Any of us are close enough in 4 games that we can win it or give it away, depending on what the tiles decide they want to do to us.
Looks like we have about a 3-minute wait here. Is there anything that hasn't been said about these players yet? Well, you know Max pretty well.
Mm-hmm.
I know Vince and Amy fairly decently, so I have a good idea of how they play in general. And I guess we both played against Minko enough to understand playstyle a tiny bit. I feel like Minko goes for a lot of shampoos compared to most other players I've played. I don't know if it's just something I'm picking up on more because I'm dealing in with more Suji or something. But definitely seems happy to take those kinds of reaches. Vincent, I know, is pretty balanced overall. You can see a low deal-in rate, kind of 20% average win rate. Low call rate prefers to goes for those closed hands in general, unless you're looking at something like a door one. And then Amy is probably the most explosive of the group.
Definitely has
And
some explosive stats this season if you just look at the win to deal and rate gap.
yeah, we were pointing out that she's very similar to Ada and Rachel Halperin in playstyle, where it's a do or die kind of. You
And
end up at
another
a plus
takeaway stat that
150.
was another takeaway stat that was pretty interesting is I think Amy's error rate on her reaches is 1.
But yeah, we saw it was actually 1.06 or something like that. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Um,
So
so
not normal, unless Amy is blessed. I hope she doesn't get used to it because she's certainly took like
right,
1 error every time you reach.
yeah, that would be very overpowered if you played in a Johnson or something. Let's go for Ricci every time, get free chips. Anyway, it looks like we're just under a minute here, so Vince is going to be our first dealer, followed by Max as south. Then Minko is going to be west, and Amy is going to be our north player. And we'll see how this game tracks out. All right, first dealer Vince stores 5 mon, starts with a kind of disjointed hand, not the kind of thing you like to see in East 1 when the score situation is flat and everyone's going to be pushing. I guess the next most interesting hand to me is probably on the left where you see a potential Itsu, though it's looking like a Bakahon at the moment. Maybe Itsu. Really decent draws for dealer have brought in a group. You have that Ryanmin, Ryankan, Penchan. Still not great though. No
I don't think
super
we're going
easy
to
way
be
to
seeing
call it.
anybody open here other than Minko. on the Hatsu.
Yeah, can easily go for the Hatsudora 1. Just to find a replacement pair, but that shouldn't be too hard.
Max
You can
has
even
got a pretty classic Pinfu shaping up here.
I feel like if
6 blocks at
Korak,
the moment.
if Korak is washing, Korak would probably advocate for that 7 Sochi if you're Minko. Because it fills a hard to fill shape. You're planning to pull the Hatsu anyway, but I see arguments for both pressing and taking it. And with Ishanten now, you're kind of happy that you didn't.
And this is one of those things where I totally agree with what Vince just did there, swing with a 6. It's like, you don't have a head yet, but I don't want to ever throw away the Dora, so it's like,
Yeah.
the 6 mon is not a head I want.
See, the pawn is passed here. Has the ideal Ranmin Ishanten with Dora 1 wants to go for the Ricci, I suppose. The headless Ishanten isn't too bad. I once again can see arguments for both passing and taking that.
I can see that going either way, but if you delay, you let other players catch up too. I think for this table, though, a Ricci is probably a little bit better at shutting it down than just pawning the Hatsu.
Well, that's a good shape for getting a pair. 258 pin. Sides against taking it. Guess if you're Vince now, you want to start considering calling for K10. Could even get a 1-2-3 Sancho shift.
There's a better head. That's the head you want versus the 6
Yeah.
mon from earlier. And Max has just been, what, 2 Shanten this whole time with 6 blocks and just never moved forward.
So what you can do as Vince here is you can chi into Tenpai, the 3 mon or the 2 so, and then later chi the 1 pin and drop the 7 pin, since that won't be a Kuikai due to the extended pins in shape, and then guarantee a Yaku. So I would consider doing that here. So it's just
you want
getting
to
so
move
late.
towards K10 anyway, even if you couldn't get Sanshoku here.
Yeah, it's a little unfortunate because you don't have the luxury of winning the hand with the 5 mon with that call, but kind of better than nothing. But that reach is going to prompt out the temporary fold for now. Could still Moashi around with the Genbutsu 1 mon. Max is going to chi into Tenpai, well, K10 for 3-6 zone.
That would have been Tenpai there, but
Well, yeah. If the call wasn't made, then you don't get it, all kinds of things. But and it looks like the 3 so, of course, will pass because it's K10. Ooh, 9 mon draw here. Breaks Tenpai. Alright, draws the Yasune. But hits
gets
Tuura to make it a
but
Marvel.
maybe hits to Tuura.
Slightly above her average of 1. And with a Pinfu nonetheless. So you can only hit the pair for that. So East 2, Max's dealership, door is 1 mon. Pairs up the double
There were
tone.
some overlapping shapes in that Pinfu.
Oh, that's true, that's true. I didn't play close enough attention to tell what the Dora
I don't
was.
remember what the Ura was. It could have hit the pair, but I think she had overlapping shapes in Sozu.
Speaking of overlap, some kind of awkward shapes in Amy's hand right now in the lower Manzu. But easy enough to call. Especially if you get the 6-0 first. Oh no, I'm still not thinking of calling so early in the hand. 3 mon triples up for Minko. The squint for a second.
Amy is going to try to resolve the awkward shapes by just taking that 6, which guarantees this will be Tanyao now. Meanwhile,
There
Max
is
just like, where's my East?
there's some world where if you're Amy, you draw the 6 mon, you take the Tenpai and the 8 mon, 2 mon, and then you can chi the 7-mon later to take a 3-6-mon weight, which improves the weight and gives you Sanjoku. Yeah, it's always frustrating when the double east is so late in the wall, because if someone else drops it, no, sorry, someone else draws it, it's just super suspicious looking at that point. Um,
And left asking, oh, is Amy Yatozuke? I don't want to throw this, so it's like.
yeah. Well, there's Tenpai 3-6-mon. I assume. Just 3-mon? I don't understand that.
No, I don't either.
It's both
Yeah,
2, 5, and 8 were live Suji, so you should just
Chi.
shove the 5, I think.
Max is proceeding for K10, wondering where the east is still in the wall. This isn't working out quite like that Pei did in the other game. There's Tenpai.
Oh, there's Tenpai. And it'll be K10 on the right as well, winning on 8-mon.
Fortunately for Max, I think he deals in if the east comes out now.
Cons for the Rin Shan chance, doesn't get it.
Oh, changes to 5 now, so now
Each.
where are those easts? What the hell?
There's the 8.
Oh, the 8 is Vince, but Vince is a Nebiyaku. Or I mean, Minkota's a Nebiyaku. Excuse me.
Yeah. Problem is though, the 1-mon is Dora.
Dong.
The 8 just deals in.
Oh, Vince. Okay, they were both waiting on. I'm sorry, I didn't even look at the hand correctly.
So that's going to be a Mangan. Dora is 2-pin. This is East 3. It's Minko's dealership. You know, not a terrible hand. You have good floater material. You can get away from that penchant, but you don't necessarily want to because the Dora is the 3-pin, which is why I don't understand the 1-pin on the. Sorry, the Dora is the 2-pin, which is why I don't understand tossing the 1-pin on the first turn. I mean, you're almost squandering the Dora.
Yeah, I would have started with 3 so there, I think.
Yeah, 3 so there is fine. You can even consider 2-mon. But it's just an unusual move. Nonetheless, the hand is moving forward quite well. It's in triple Ranman 2 Shanten. Guess Vince is going for the Sha possible Toy possible Honitsu if you get some more Sozu.
Yeah, it's fine. You can get Toy there. You can get Honitsu. You can pick up a Dora and use it. Number of ways to get it to above 1,000 points at least.
And Ishanten for dealer looking for 3-6-pin or 1-2-4-mon. Would be a Richinomi. Or 9-mon, that's correct. And you think if you at least kept the 2-pin to this point, you'd have the chance to go for Ricci Dora 1. So at this point, you might consider just dropping and going for the better weight. I don't know. Either way, 3-6-pin. It's going to be 2 of those left in the wall. And Vince here starts with the Suji, is still Ishanten though. Now, there is a possible 2 Shanten Suanko over to the right in Amy's hand, or Toy Toy Sancho Kodoko, Dora 2, but it's
Yeah, you're not getting there without dealing in.
yeah, unless you get 4-pin and then 6-pin Tonki or something. Oh, okay. But you just toss 5 so. And do we chase here? No, you don't chase because you're furry 10. And you want the Suanko upgrade anyway. You can even get a Suanko Tonki.
Mahjong.
But Vince is going to take the fast in here. So it doesn't manage to get the Honitsu or the Toy Toy, but shuts down the dealer's free G. So almost just as valuable and picks up a stick.
I would say his double reachy chance, but the hand has already begun. It's a little delay.
Yeah, this is one of those funny. You can get a 2-3-4 Ipeco or a 3-4-5 Ipeco and have a 3-sided
Or you
Shampoo
can have a Cheetoy. Why
or
not?
Chitoy
That would just
Tenpai.
take in a heartbeat.
Yeah, it's going to come right out.
Oh my god.
Unless you start with the Tuso or the 1-mon.
That, I guess.
Okay.
It's one of those things where I'm assuming it's coming out eventually, but it's Vince's seat. Is that he held it for one turn and scared himself Ipatsu.
Oh, where's the Tuura?
Is the tutor?
Oh,
No.
okay.
We brought Amy's average back down to 1. See, this is why she has a 1 average. What is this high pie? This is also very good.
Yeah. There's maybe some consideration for keeping the 9 so, but I think it's also okay to
Ishan 10
toss.
now. Get a 1-4-5 weight if you get the Filderian Mountain. You just cut 3-pin here for the maximum amounts.
Yeah. Well, not terrible, but not ideal either.
Yeah, dropping the 1 just gives up every chance you had to get a Sanmen shot of any sort. And if you do draw a 5 now, you're staring like a free 10 5-sided weight in the face, which I suppose is fine, but
Oh, there's another Dora. But if you had the one so you'd be in a headless Shantel with an Anko.
Home.
Now
Reach.
just take the Ricci. Oh, Ricci Dora 2, waiting for the 2-5 so. Could be a Mangan on the 2 so. Only one of those left in the wall. There's 1-5 so over in Vince's hand to the right, which leaves 4 total
Vince
to
chooses to
draw.
push the 10 pie, which I think at this point is fair. Not much safe tiles in his hand. Like, nothing is safe other than going west-west.
This is an unfortunate draw.
Drum.
No, we're hitting below average.
Nice to see Amy's human.
Yes. Well, 77 is still a very nice pickup there. Puts Amy over 50k. Dora is the Haku. East 4. 2 Honba on the table. This hand doesn't really compare to the previous two, but it's not terrible either. Vince, on the other hand, already in Ishanten. Could take the Dora Utanki. Might have even considered dropping like the 2-mon there or the 6-mon if I was Vince. But never mind. I take that back because it would be a reaching only if you didn't take the Hakutanki anyway. So the Kutsuki doesn't matter too much. Well, Amy's going to pick up a door and a Kanchan fill now. Decide to toss it out.
The only way I think you get rid of any part of that Biancon in hand is if you draw 7-mon. And then I still proceed to Dora Tanki.
Yeah. Uncle formed of the 8-mon on the left is an Ishanten now. Thinking of what Kanchan to cut, there's 3 candidates. Gets rid of the 4-mon weight, that is once out. 7-so is also once out, but sees more of the higher sozes, so probably figures it's a little bit more live.
That's Tenpai, and there's only 2. 2 of the Hakus are gone. Chooses to take the Nomi. It's dead.
Yeah, unfortunately that 5-mon is locked up as an Anko in Max's
hand is
hand.
extremely awkward too, so. But I don't think he'll be trying a 5-mon anytime soon against that pond.
Amy holds the con of 9-mon for now.
It isn't safe, and probably is only something that should be tried if you want to commit. You can throw 1 away, and then you've got 3 more turns of safety, of course, but there are Suji and other better looking things in that 9.
Amy was technically Ishenten at that point, but then would either have to go for the con or toss the 2-so. The 2-so is still to go, so it's not bad. But if you're paying attention to the fact that there's only 3 Tadashis from that hand, it's not as accurate as normal. It is Suji now.
It is
And I
10 high
believe,
for Max.
yeah.
It's held weight on the last 3-so. He sumoed it. I was going to say he doesn't believe in 3-so. We've discussed this, but maybe he will now.
Oh, 1k, 2k to shut down that Ricci.
In any case, he's probably just happy for the points at that point because he puts him in second.
Amy probably would have conned on the final turn to deny the high-tay draw for Vince. So I was curious if that would happen or not, but we didn't get to see. So South 1 now, door is 4, so Vince could slide to that, dropping the 1-so. Other than that, kind of average shapes, looking for a Ricci. Fast Tenpai over to the left, out to Fuke for a non-Dora 1 hand. So South's nowhere to be seen yet. There's an 8-pin, but that wouldn't deal in, and Max wants it anyway.
It's plenty early enough, but it's always thinking of when do you give up the South here to go for Tanyao instead. If you draw another Dora, then of course you do.
Yeah, definitely. Could even cheat the Dora.
Mm-hmm.
And there is an Ishanten across the way. For 1-pin, 4-so, 8-so.
Yep, 3-6-pin.
And 3-6-pin, yeah. I keep missing like one of the most major blocks in the hand and going for the Shampun. So you want the 8-so here to get your 3-6-pin Pinfu, Dora 1. Well, I guess no, you want the 4-so here, so you can go for Ricci Dora 3.
Yeah. I got this crazy Pinzu's overlap in Vince's hand. It's technically 3 blocks. It's a 5-block hand with only 1 block actually being complete, which is kind of annoying when you get into that situation.
Yeah. Hard to think if there's any reasonable way to call the 3 or the 5, but I don't think any of the options move the hand forward.
Not really. I mean, you really need to resolve one of these Ryunmen pair blocks. That's a call that can be made to move the hand forward.
There we go.
It's a coin flip now. Who do you want to be your head? And you can use the board as to educate that. That's probably the.
Yeah, it's 2 more tiles out for that weight, but
And you could keep the 3 and open up another chance to pawn. There's so many things you can do with it. And now it's kind of unfortunate for Amy that it's so late now that I don't think
1
you're going to get a chance to pawn or run that south, because
本
if it's drawn, it's going to look really suspect. And yeah, as I said, it's a coin flip. Arguably, I think 5-8 is a little more live on the board, but
Oh, there's the 6-pin. Would not deal in for anything. And he's actually going to bring Tempai there.
本
and then it comes out.
Okay, at least stays consistent with that idea and goes for the one chance 8-pin instead.
Throw it again. Still 10 pi.
Oh,
Players
1500.
10 pi. That changes the placement. Max is in third, and Minko moves up to second.
Oh, South 2. Everyone but Amy still under 30k, though Minko is close. Door is the 1-mon. Dealer starts with one of those. Max's hand, a little bit on the slower side right now. Nothing particularly interesting to the right. I guess across the way you have a potential first Junchan or Chanta if you want it. Though Amy doesn't really need that kind of thing. Probably should not risk over opening. And then I guess over to the left you can go for a call to Tanya, but you don't want that with the current score situation. So not a whole lot of speed. Oh no, if you're Amy there, do you consider dropping the 5-mon instead? Or you can just draw the 2-mon yourself.
Yeah. Now you can drop the 5-mon. Doesn't.
Oh. Yeah, I definitely
Maybe
dropped
it's
the 5-mon there.
tunneling on a potential Itsu, but there's already too many things created to make an Itsu.
Yeah. And between the 5-mon and the 5-pin, aside from the 5-pin just giving you the extra Ukeire, the 5-mon is also in the Dora suit, so slightly more dangerous. Not that it matters that much, it's far away enough from the Dora. But I don't really see any advantages to it over the one, so you don't want to take a 5-mon Tonki.
No.
And this is
Are we gonna take a 5-mon Tonki? Probably not. Probably see the 5-mon drop. This Dama, it's I mean, any honor, I guess you can shift the weight now.
yeah.
Tonki.
And I mean the one so just looks great on this board. Okay, here. Oh, it'd be
It's
free
dead. It's also dead. The dead free 10. Meanwhile, Max is just not getting the tiles he needs. A few backfire draws in a row. Yeah, Sanzo is also free 10.
1
Yep, we'll see. Ricci, two Mon Ricci, they are held. I have a feeling we will see Amy fold before.
Yeah, like here.
Yeah. Yep. This kind of a lead, it's not not really worthy risking that awful Tongi against the dealer.
1
Well, it looks like Vince is going to push the 2-pin pair out. Amy's going to follow suit.
Call that for 10 pi, but it's just K10. You have to push a 4-pin, which looks pretty bad.
1
And 2 people Tenpai again. So Minko steadily climbing towards that 30k mark. Now 27k with 2 Honbon and Rishi stick on the table.
Much does
And
Max dream.
Well,
Not
enough
very
to
well.
keep it
We
around.
see enough dragons on the board. This is going nowhere.
Yeah.
But the blocks in the hand are not super great. There's that floating Dora, so I can see the dragon sticking around for a little bit of time. Maybe you cut one now, just for efficiency. Yep.
There goes Minko turn late, drawing in the Hatsu. Chun will probably get dropped soon. There we go.
See, trying to finagle Dora Tonki here. Amy has 2 of them, so
I was gonna say, I wonder if the 1113 gets stuck around
Kang.
for a little bit to consider a better Tonki Kanchan weight
see
than
if
the
we
one
got a
pin, but
con there.
definitely
So
looking
we
for
might see
value.
some. Looking for value, and I wouldn't be surprised if we see some like little bit looser play from all the players here because they're 100, they're almost 200 points for demotion, so you can get away
Yeah,
with things you normally wouldn't do.
all aiming for first in the division as well.
I'm just sitting here looking at that and like, go away, leave me alone.
Reach.
Well, there we go. 3-pin for Hipeko Dora 3.
There's
Or
only one
Richie
left
Piccolo.
now.
And I
Mix can play
guess
around a little bit here.
Minko could end up dropping it here. Oh,
You can drop the 7-9. Yep. I mean, the 9 is not guaranteed to be safe, but it's very cheap looking. Fortunately, you can't pawn the 1 pin, so that's an excellent draw, though, to actually win the hand. Hatsu, perhaps? Chooses the not cut pay, okay.
he's still looking for a pawn. Oh, there's the final 3-pin.
And that's not coming out, at least. Unless something weird happens.
Home.
Oh, Tenpai for
And
max.
you know, and that
Yeah,
stays
Jerome.
put. Yep, there it is. That'll be 96 is the big foo from the terminal Dimencon.
Yeah, that Dora stuck around long enough, and the 1-pin has come back again as an encore in the starting hand. Dora is 5 so can easily pick that up. Great 2-shot 10. Well, not fantastic, but it's still an early 2-shot 10, and now you have double Dora access with an Ipeko chance. Yes. A
Going for
forced,
Kokushi.
yeah,
Or at
a
the
forced
very
choice.
least, hedging a Honitsu and trying it.
Yeah. It's currently 4-shot 10 from Kokushi and much further from the Honitsu.
So we see
Decides to go for the Honitsu.
Max keep a different 5 blocks that gets him the Sanchoku out.
And there
And
you
he's
go.
immediately rewarded. This is
Might end
interesting
up,
because it's Tenpai in a bunch of different tiles. Really want the 2 here, I think.
yeah.
Chi that and take Tenpai. But it's just it's just Sanchoku only.
Yeah, a bit
Home.
early. I definitely consider that mid row too. It's a little awkward too because now it's very clear that Minko is going for that Manzu Honitsu, and you're going to end up on a possible Kanchan Tuman. So 2 Shanten for Minko.
It's two still two Shantem with two calls, so the rest of the table is not sure what to expect though with that. Could easily be Tenpai at this point, depending on what's in the hand.
Oh, there's Tenpai.
Yep. And that is the best choice here by a long stretch. There's a couple choices, but all the other ones are worse. Guaranteed Sanshogu.
Yeah, Minko playing very aggressively here for.
Still in the wall too.
Just what are you gonna do as Minko then? You're gonna G5 mon and take a Tunky on the south or the Atsu? It's just not great. And now you draw Dora. I guess you can still Dora Tunky, it's the same value.
Mm-hmm.
But this is how you get into the Sensu trade. You're gonna cheat the 5 mon, you're gonna draw the Chuso. Or something ridiculous like that.
There it is.
Okay.
Max is certainly happy that Riichi Tsumo Pinfu Sanshoku. And Max is not Amy, so he has to settle for a Mangon, but he does take the lead.
Dora is 3 so, south 2, repeat 4. Dealer's hand is in mid tier, does have the one sticky Dora tile. Minko's hand is once again kind of a mix of terminals, possibly going for the Pinzu Honitsu. Doesn't have the Yakuhai this time though, and 2 of the Hakus are dead, plus that Ranman makes it a little more doubtful. Amy's hand has the Yakuhai, does have a dealership left, so probably can afford to take a slightly cheaper hand here and shut down Max before he gets too far. And then Vince over here draws a connector for that Dora, and honestly, not too terrible. It is
Max
headless.
has an even better connector for his Dora.
Yeah. We once again could see some weird shifts towards a 1-2-3 Sanshoku. Take a little bit more effort this time around. Especially after that draw. I think if you're considering taking that kind of pawn, that it might have been worthy to keep the 5 so that previous turn, especially with 2 of the 1 so already out. But then you'd have to drop the 1 mon or the 5 pin early. Honestly, I wouldn't care about dropping the 5 pin because the 2 pin was the pair, and 3 mon can always be the backup. Oh, Ishanten for Amy. Or rather, a better Ishanten, or debatably better. I guess she's keeping the 5 mon for Yanmen upgrades. Took me a second. Oh, yeah, the 8 pin is dead. That makes sense. And Tenpai. Oh, there you go. Yakuhai only, but picks up 4 home in the process, and very close. Minko with like the 3rd hand in a row that looks like a Honitsu. And we apologize, it looks like Steve's internet has just cut out, so I will be trying to handle this myself. Well, let's see. Minko definitely wants to win this hand with enough value to make it worth it. But the speed of the 5-6-0 and the 6-pin makes this look like it's going to tend towards a Tanya or a faster closed hand. Door is the red, so you can still pair that up and go for some kind of value. All of those are left on in the wall. This 8-mon draw is certainly helpful as well. Goes and cuts the south. Keeps the door a little bit longer. That prompts Amy to cut her south. Her hand is still a little bit disjointed at the moment. Bad shapes, no real easy callable solutions for it. Across the way, Vince has 1, 2, 3, 4 pairs in Manzu and starts making calls towards a Manzu Honitsu or Chinitsu. And then over to the left, we have 4 pairs. Max probably considering some kind of Cheetoy. It's still kind of awkward shapes, even with the bolstering pairs like the 1133 or the 112-mon. So that 3-mon definitely does help. Not enough for Max to consider otherwise. Decides to keep the B3-mon Suji Toitsu. 2-mon was dropped by dealer after all. And this is Tenpai for dealer. A 4-7-mon Richi. Could technically defer that and drop the 5-6 so, but if that was your plan, you would have kept the 2-mon earlier. So just a standard Richi here. 3 left in the wall. This would be a Richi Dora 2. Now Max in a little bit of a tough spot here decides to bail from a pair of 6-mon. Amy, on the other hand, has a decent amount of safety. Oh, there's the con. New door is 2-pin. It's not going to give a door to anyone at the moment. There's a 7, and that's going to come right out. It's going to deal into the dealer's Richi Dora 2. And 1 Ura for Manga on a painful hit for Vince, who drops down to 1,000 points. So Minko has managed to escape kind of direct last place range for now, but still needs to convert this into, honestly, a first place to have a good shot at jumping back towards the top. So still a lot of work to be done here. South 3 door is the 7, so dealer has acceptance towards that. Forms a nice Ryanman in Manzu. Decent shapes all around. You're looking for a Richi Pinfu here. You want to draw the 8-pin first. Over to the right, disjointed shape for Amy once again. Also kind of a Pinfu style hand. Has the Ryan kind of round the door 7, so that's not too bad. Across the way though, Vince has a nice Tanyao. I want to say that's 3 Shanten. Question mark, 2 Shanten now for sure. And then over on the left, we see Max with also kind of a mediocre slow hand at the moment. Has 2 terminal pairs. Does have the chance for a 5-6-7 Sanchoku now though with that 7-pin draw. However, Amy tries to speed things along here. It's going to be forcing in a Tanya, and unfortunately that North Anko will just not help, so it decides to start bailing from that. That will prove to be safe tiles if someone reaches soon. Amy would need to procure the 4-pin to make that hand useful. I'd probably just continue tossing the south here. Yeah. Because now you can draw something like 4-mon and it leaves you with a bad Kanchan, but you could guarantee the Tanya. So Amy's just deciding to continue aggressively, keeping these middle tile pairs to increase her chance of winning this hand after calling once. Minko, on the other hand, is a headless Ishanten right now. Get a 2-3-4-5 so. Oh, 1-2-3-4-5 so. Or a 1-2-3-4 pin into Tenpai. So I expect a Richi very soon. Amy in Ishanten now still needs to secure that 4-pin. At the moment, there are 2 left in the wall. But there are also 2 1-pin left in the wall, which she does not want to draw. So I think it's important to note that across the table, Vince is shoving through for the Sanako or the Suanko Dora 2 here, and decided to give away the 4-mon, which gets rid of the more direct Chitoi Ishanten because of the point situation. Oh, there we go. Tenpai on the 3-so. Probably the least likely of the bunch to be drawn. It's going to leave dealer on a 1-4 pin weight. They're currently left in the wall. And we're going to see a chase for Richi Chitoi Tanyao Dora 2 waiting on the 6-so. There's only one left in the wall. And the 1 pin's going to come out of the Ipatsu because it's safe against Vince. And Vince is currently at 0 points. There's no busting anyways. So that's going to be a 58 from Max to the dealer. So Minko has now gone over the 30k mark and is approaching first place as is needed. The door is 4-mon. There are 2 Honba on the table. Looks like 4 pairs for the dealer. Could consider something like a 6-pin drop here to go for a Chitoi, though it is kind of inefficient. So it starts with a 3-so. Also similarly inefficient. But looks to be tending towards the upper numbers, maybe for 5, 6, 7 Sanshoku. Over to the right, Amy has a triplet of the Norths, gets a nice tile with the 6-pin there. Currently in Ishanten. Could get a 5, 6, 7 Sanshoku like that. Not looking to call just yet.
I am back with you guys, and apparently I missed some fireworks while I was disconnected.
Oh, there were fireworks?
Well, I see a score of 0, and that wasn't.
Oh, right. Yeah. So Vince dealt in to Minko's Mangan, and then Vince Luci'd, getting rid of the final 1,000 points, and Max dealt in on a 1-pin that was safe against Vince, but not safe against Minko.
Okay.
And so Vince is currently at 0 in desperate position. Probably looking for a very unlikely Daisongan here. Or something of the sort. Did have a Richi Chitoi Tanya Dora to the previous hand on a 6-so Tanki. That was the one that Vince lost to the 1-pin deal in from Max. So Amy here with the fast Richi could get the 5, 6, 7 Sachoku if the 4-mon is procured, and that would be Dora 2. So she's definitely looking to peel away with this Richi. Well, that's 1 4-mon left. And 2 7-mon. And Vince does have that Ishanten, but it's nowhere near the kind of class of hand that he wanted to get out of it. You're looking at like what, 2k, 2.6 maybe. Could technically get a Mangan out of it if you can pawn the 7-pin and the Hatsu. And the Harakatanki. Looks like there's only 2 4 7-mon left in the wall. There's even amounts of both now. Oh, there's the pawn. 6 pins discarded, so it's 2 5-pin to fight. I imagine the Hatsu gets pawned here too, and there's the Maga we were talking about. Takes a 4-pin Tanki.
He likes to push the 3-pin Suji to not try to get to Tenpai safely.
Great. 4-pin is also a Nakasuji, so maybe he figures that the 4-pin is more likely to come out. Unfortunate with that 6-pin. Oh, there's the last 4-mon, so no Takame left. So it's 1 versus 1 here. Haite Sumo.
That hurts for Minko. It doesn't change the value, but it does hurt for Minko because it goes back below 30k.
Yeah. And now Vince does have an outside chance to save this game by going into 3rd place and taking a minimal damage. But it's going to take probably a direct hit. And Minko can hold out very easily when he wants to. I've seen that in the past.
Minko, it's hard to say what's on the players' minds here because the only prize really is first place.
Right, right.
No, nobody's going to demote in this group, so. I said Minko is at the lowest position here, and he's over 200 points over demotion.
Minko is also Ishanten for a Chitoy door too. So probably not too scared of pushing.
And we get that Hanemon, actually it's first place.
Oh, going for the open hand now. Because the 1 pin in the Haku and the 2-mon should be easy enough to call. Now Ishanten.
Electing for the toy shape instead of the Ryanmen.
Oh, besides the Sakigiri, the 4-mon keep the safer twice cut pay. So locks in the toy. Amy's going to Tadashi the 7, so which I think is counterproductive there. To just doing a Sumogiri. Once again, very little difference, especially if you think Minko is just going to push anyway. There's a con. Udor is west. And Minko does decide to keep the 3-mon this time with all that extra food. And Amy Tenpai now.
Regardless of the foo here, it seems to me that it's like how that comes out and Minko deals in. Yep.
29. Vin's probably fine with that result. Dealer gets a repeat. Minko is brought a little bit closer. Vince's hand, though, not something to write home about. Maybe thinking of a Kokushi push.
It's a 15,000 point gap, and if you were to sumo a Hanemon, the Homba would Gakuden here.
Both doors are pretty fairly isolated at the moment. Amy keeps onto it for a little bit longer. And decides to drop it now that that shape has filled in. It's in a Kutsuki 2 Shanten. And now E Shanten. You'd like to draw something like a 5-mon here, or just into Tenpai, a 2-5 pin wait. A little bit of hesitation, but the stick comes out. Well, looking at Max's hand, currently E Shanten would be chasing on a bad weight, regardless of what is drawn. Now Minko left in a vulnerable position because that 1, 2, 2, 3 leaves the 2 very stranded. Now you're stuck with the 2 and the 5.
You cut the 1 if you think you can push it.
Said the half Suji 5 pin comes out, that's going to deal in, or a Richinomi, but 2k plus 2 repeats will make that sting a little bit more. And now Vince is starting to rub his hands together. It's like, okay, things are doable now. Because you can get a Mangan.
Sumo here.
Yeah. I think 2 hands ago he couldn't get the Mangan direct hit, but now he can.
Yes.
He is currently looking at a 2 Shanten potential Menton Pin. But you want a little bit more than that if you can get it. Max has the on kind of the 9-mon ready to go if something else develops in the hand. And Amy here is already 3 Shanten from Chinitsu. Oh, sorry, 2 Shanten. She is making it fairly obvious, but Minko still wants to push here and get over 30k if possible. He actually decides to break Ishanten there. Doesn't want to toss the 4-so because of the 456 Sanchoku upgrade. Doesn't want to toss the North because it is Dora. And now there's another Dora though. Dora is Hatsu. One's cut. Amy has one. Now twice cut. Vince still struggling at Ishanten now, but more likely to take the Riichi. That extra con flip. Still not the kind of hand you want though. Amy Ishanten for Chinitsu. And there's the Riichi 5-mon Chun Shavo. This is a little unfortunate though, because currently the only Chun out is in Amy's hand, and she's liable to push it if she gets Tenpai for Chinitsu. But decides to fold for now, protect first place. And even Minko seems to be folding here, starting with that 3-so. Probably figures it's way too difficult to contest this Riichi and go for an over 30k score without risking a significant chance at a direct hit and falling into last. With Max chasing here, probably even more so. And the sumo comes, but it's likely not enough. Only one Ura would need 2 more to make up that Hanuman. Still came very close there.
Thanks to the added stick, yeah. Max's stick helped. Still just wasn't quite enough.
Yeah. Still recouped some of those lost points, making it all the way from 0 to 19,200 in the last few rounds. So an impressive finish nonetheless. Well, it looks like their second game has started. I imagine I could probably stick around just that more. I don't know what things are looking like on your end.
For me, it's fine. I had a mobile hotspot myself, so I'm running
All
on
right,
that at the
cool.
moment and hoping it holds.
Well, we should still have another 4-ish minutes before this next game starts, so I'm going to run off and get some water, and we'll be back with you guys very soon. All right, I'm back from that. Still looks like we have 2 minutes to go. So Vince falls to 124 here. Amy rises up into first place with 163. But once again, no more guarantees. Those spots could easily change with this next game. Ko is sort of looking out of range now, though. Would need an absolutely massive first to realistically be in the standings. So we'll have our first dealer as Amy, followed by Minko as South. Vince will be the West, and Max will be North. All right, Dora is 2-pin. Amy's hand starts off with potential to shift into a Sozo Itsu. Currently 2 Shanten. Not a great 2 Shanten, but once again, there are those shifts available. You could even get a Pinzu Itsu here. It's unlikely as it is. Anything else really pop out to you at the table here, Steve?
At a first glance, no.
Not really.
Dealer
Maybe
is
the
past his hand, but that was the other thing I was thinking. I was like, if Max wants to win this hand, he's probably got to force a flush on it because it's bad. He's got two Dora. Might be hedging Tanyao too here with the cuts he's made.
yeah.
And well, he drew his seat win, so now he's got a number of options. So it's one of those things where the preemptive call like that is totally fine.
Oh, there's Tenpai for dealer.
リーチ
Takes the Suchi trap once out Richi. Could definitely see that coming out in a couple of turns from Minko.
It ended up being a double run, depending on how things shake up.
ロン
And there we go. Richi Dorawa. No error. Amy's average is dropping fast. Is told it's at 1.04 near the end of the last game.
I was thinking that if Amy ends up above an average of 1, she needs to teach me how she does it.
All right.
I need the secret knowledge.
East 1, repeat 1. Dora is 7, so dealer has one of those procured. 2 good shapes here. The 8 pin will probably end up being the pair if you draw something around the 5 mon. The 5 pin. Could see a possible called. Oh, well, I was just gonna say, but there we go. A West call into Tempai for 5/8. So West Dora 1 seems reasonable enough. Amy definitely won't be dropping that, especially the 5 Silk Forms of Sanmenchan. She can shift into a 3/4/5 Sanshoku in some cases.
It's particularly interesting looking at this being the last game they play. If everybody here who's playing, if they want to win, needs to get over Amy's score.
Right.
If they don't, they're not going to. There's zero chance of winning. Doesn't matter what happens to the rest of us in our 4 games.
So Amy might have to deal with a lot more targeting here, depending on how the scores unfold. I haven't seen a lot of games recently where people have overlooked wins or anything, but this might end up being one of those situations, especially if Amy continues to grow her lead.
Yeah, exactly. If this is one of the other divisions, you would just say, "Oh, so and so is going to make this choice or that choice," because like top 6 would be in promotion range or something. But there's just, like I said, the little trophy there at the top is all you get. The prize for the rest of us is not demoting.
Well, the 2000 is going to win out there. Minko deals in, and it's now Minko's dealership. He's 2 doors, 4 pins starts with a Yaku Hyper of the Chun, has the 4 pin in Iryanmen, and needs to form a few more groups. The problem is that the Chun is Mochi Mochi with Amy over on the left, who has a very easy shot at a Manzu Honitsu Yaku Yaku. I guess Max's hand is really quite good. The sticky Yishanten already. And it can go as high as like a Richi Pinfui Peiko Dora 2. There's Tenpai. Do you want to take the 258 pin weight? Or Richi Dora 1? I think that's fine.
Each. Home.
Inko decides to contest it, takes the pawn, is still quite far away. But Minko has to play aggressively here, like we've stated before.
I think my count mix is a 7 tile weight here remaining.
6 now.
Yep.
Amy has been forced to cheapen the hand. Is Ishanten now, but that Honitsu is gone. And there's the sumo. Will there be an Ura?
Alas, Nora.
No Ura to be seen. Still takes a temporary lead. East 3 Dora is the 9 so. Vince has one. Vince also has a double tone pair and 2 other alternate pairs, which is technically ideal there. Kind of a little bit awkward shapes, but that can change fast. Over to the right, Max has... Actually, this is also good again. It's a little bit of the overlapping Suji and Pinzu, so 8 pin comes out to the 9 pin a bit tossed anyway. Very fast to develop hand. Over to the left, we saw that early call of the Chun. Maybe looking at Chun Dora, maybe Chun Dora 2 if you can pair it up and swap out for either the 4 pin or the 3 so pair.
Throws out that floating 3 mon now, probably seeing that there's a potential Itsu here, depending on what comes in what order.
Home.
Well, that's the first step. Now you have the 7 mon as the pair instead of the 1 so.
But certainly not being fast to commit to it by just cutting the 1 so either, because it's definitely like you could just reach either round men regardless.
Yeah. Well, dealer here, hedging between Toy Toy, Double Tone Dora 2, or just a faster hand if the roundman fills first. On for Vince, Dora is the 3 pin. Just dropped by Amy, unfortunately.
And
And
Max choose to give up the 1 so acceptance to keep a safe tile, then draw another one, sadly.
unfortunate, especially after the con was made.
Mm-hmm.
3 so is starting to look pretty good as a weight, but we know that 2 of them are in Minko's hand, who is not Tenpai in the 6 pin 3 so for Chundor 2. And Amy finds her way into Tenpai and force 6 mon. All of which are still live and the 5 mon are gone, so that's liable to come out as well. Vince holds it for now.
The only thing that's gonna stop either of these players is there it goes. I was gonna say the only thing that's gonna stop any of them is if they find the tone before they get dealt into at that point, because everybody was pretty much pushing. But the remaining both the tones are still on the wall there, so they would have looked extremely suspicious.
Absolutely. East 4, Max's dealership. Dora is 9 mon, has a potential Itsu, potential 5, 6, 7 Sanshoku. The hand is still undeveloped. And now the 5, 6, 7 is looking a little more realistic. Pawn is twice cut, so I expect we see that coming out soon. Nothing else around the table looks too fantastic, other than maybe Vince's hand on the left.
Shanten, but it's a little bit rough. It's going to be a bad weight in almost every circumstance against Tenpai, unless you shift something around. It's an opportunity to step backward for a better weight later. He chooses to do that, okay. I kind of have a feeling that Minko is kind of playing, hedging a dream for Junchan here, and then just going to fold if things go wrong.
And immediately pays off with Ensu draws the Com 3 mon for Richie Ipeiko on a 2-5 so weight. Unfortunately, only 2 left in the wall. But that's sort of bad news for Max at the moment, unless he pairs one and groups the other for the Sanshoku. And now at Ishan 10,
at this point.
it's going to be a 5 so Richie. The Nakasuji, I guess. I was saying 5 so because then it's Suji gets both players rather than half Suji goes one Nakasuji to the dealer, but both deal in there. A worthy deal in though. Move on to Amy's dealership. South 1 already. Dora's the 4 so. She starts with one of those in Ryanman as well as a pair of the Chun and a couple of alternate pairs in the 3 mon or 6 pin to allow that to be called forth. There's a triplet of the ton, but it's 1 round too late. Still, that can turn into a Sananko or something crazy like that with the right draws across the way. Vince's hand is looking like another potential Ipeiko, Pinfu, Dora 1 maybe. And then Max's hand over here is also looking towards a Pinfu, Dora 1. Oh, Vince manages to get
kind of awkward now. I wonder if we'll see this Dora Shabo here shortly.
Yeah. Imagine that's the move. Or if you're lucky enough, you can draw something like a 5 so here and go towards Tanya Dora 2. But here, yeah, I think you just take the Ricci. Oh, currently drawing dead, and those are locked in people's hands.
We got Max choosing to push the Pinhu Ishanten here with Dora. As well, so I'm assuming if we get Tenpai, we'll see a chase, because he's already made a couple live-ish discards.
Amy also... Amy pushing from 2 Shanten shoves in the Dora Suji. Probably slightly more confident because the 9 so was cut, but it's not much to go off of. Anyway, So yeah, there's our chase. 6-9 mon. I think there's 5 of those left.
相撲
And there's one.
And there's Yasume Tsumo, but it's Riichi Tsumo Pinfu Dora.
Has to settle for the 1326. Alright, moving right along to South 2. Minko's dealership starts with a pair of the Hatsu 9-so, 7-so, and 3-pin. So 4 pairs right off the bat. It's a double South to start off with. Dora 5-pin, 1 each in Vince's hand and Max's hand. Max's hand looking fairly fast here.
Really wants to put something with that Dora. There you go. So it's not by itself.
And there, that's even better.
Boom.
Vince turned down a better Ishanten there, a headless Ishanten, but wanted to keep the 5-pin Dora. Now you definitely cut the South. So ideally, Vince draws the 5-pin or the 4-pin. And honestly, with Pinfu receiving the nerf in Fu, I'd rather get the 5-pin there.
Boom.
Yeah, it's additional Dora anyway. Oh, we got Minko Tenpai for 1 4-pin. Just looking at Hatsu Nomi, but it does keep the dealership going.
Unfortunate, delaying the Tenpai for 1 turn and keeping the 5. So would have resulted in a Honitsu Tenpai the turn after. I was just about to ask if you consider taking the 7-so pawn that comes out.
Long.
But it doesn't matter.
No, interesting. Amy declined a Tenpai there on that last turn. She could have cut a 5-pin for Dama Ipeko on the 2-mon, but turned it down. Fortunately, we didn't have enough time to look at it in the board to see what the reasoning was, but looking around here, dealer's got 2 pairs, Ryanmen can accept the Dora, but it looks just looking slow. Vince has the fastest hand here, I think, like quite a bit. Max has got shapes to a Sanshoku and Junchan or Chanta. And Amy is Ishan 10 as well? No, Tushan 10.
Boom.
Minko makes the call here into Tushanten. Still looking for Ryanman upgrades to replace that Pinchan if possible. But Amy holds fast to her 3-mon for now. Well,
Max
looks
is
like that.
Ishan 10 now for the Sanshoku Pinfu.
Yeah, it loses the Junshan, but still a great hand. And there's Tenpai for Vince, 3 6-pin. Takame 6-pin for Ichi Pinfu Ipeko 1.
Each.
Oh, that's
Oh,
definitely a
yeah.
chase. It's the best draw.
Guaranteed Sanshoku Pinfu Dora. Sorry, no Dora. 2 5-mon wait.
Long.
Amy has a long thought and plays the safe 2-mon against Vince and deals in for the manga.
Doesn't need an Ura here, and in fact, an Ura would have done nothing to the value unless you get 2 of them.
I only caught a glimpse of it, but great shapes over to the left in Minko's hand. Samenchen, Nobatan Anshan Tushinten.
Yes.
Okay,
Max has
maybe
the
not as good
Hatsus
as
that are. Max has the Hatsu Dora in a pair, and They're just both lingering in Vince and Amy's hand, so assuming we'll see that pawn when it's dropped. Yep.
Surprised Amy dropped it so soon because we've seen her hold the door for much longer before, but opportunity to just get a fast Tanya here probably isn't attaching as much importance to it. And she might even be trying to play slightly more defensively now that she has that first spot to place. Well, there's Tenpai. That was fast.
As long as she stays above her opponents in this game, there's a shot at winning.
Oh, that 9-so is one of those tiles where you feel it could come out at any second. Someone draws it.
Chi that to improve the weight to the San
Chi.
Menton. Give you Itsu. Not that you need Itsu, but the San Menton is more what I'm looking at there.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good Queen Obashi.
Sumo.
Oh,
Instantly
immediately.
rewarded for the Queen Obashi.
Oh, that's going to make a quick Mangon there and put Max really far in the lead going into
And
Southpaw.
it puts Vince under 30k too, which is painful.
So Max at 108 right now. Still wouldn't catch up with the current win, I don't think. Actually might with Amy dropping.
On the current scores with Amy in third with 22. It'd be a minus 13. She would fall to 150. And Max would pick up 22, 37. Still not enough.
Yeah. So Max wants to hit Amy into last place before finishing out the game.
Either that or just pick up more points.
Yeah. No door access to the 2-so this hand, but good 2-shanten in turn. The 4, 5, 6, 6, 8 into a 3, 6, so weight in the end.
The 7 is just completely held, unfortunately.
Yeah. So that 4, 5, 6, 6 will be the saving grace for this hand. Unless a pair is formed elsewhere with the 6, 8 mon. Then it's trouble. Well, there's the first 7. Vince thinking about whether he wants to call for Chinitsu. Passes. I kind of would have liked to consider keeping that 3-pin.
I think it would have. Now it's saved. I mean, that's one of the options to save to give the hand a couple more draws. There's not a ton of 4s either, but there at least are 4s. That's the difference.
Right.
I don't know why the tone is sticking around this long.
I think.
I guess when you make your head, you don't really need the 6 anymore, but it's. I don't like keeping the extra 5, 6. So if I want to try to win the hand, because Vince is obviously hoarding all of them.
Right, and you lose your upgrades to 4, 5, 6 on Shoku and stuff like that as well. I guess if the point situation is being misjudged here, then maybe the East makes sense to hold, but I don't think that's the case. Max is usually
I
pretty good.
calculated it correctly, but I'm not 100% sure I did that really quickly on the fly.
I believe you in that. It doesn't seem like it's enough. It's like just under maybe.
Because we got a 30k start here, correct?
Yeah, 30k
Yeah,
start here.
30k start. As like just trying to, we'll see a Chi. It's at least
Oh,
Tanyao now on the 4.
Manko takes this call into Ishanten and picks up the K10, but then breaks it going for a Tanyao. But even if you win this Tanyao, it does you absolutely nothing. So you shouldn't be breaking Tenpai here unless you think that the 6-0 will tilt into Vince, which it does have a good chance at doing. So it makes sense to break there. But I guess the K10 is to keep him within range. But I think Minko is probably looking at stepping out of the way here and just seeing what happens in the future rounds. All right, 2 players Tenpai.
But the looks of the draws there, that tone keep for that one really backfired on Max there. So he drew a number of Manzu after that.
Yeah. It's a small loss in efficiency, but can hurt a lot. South 4, repeat 1. Door is the 3-pin. Max has access to that. Forms the Ryokan in Monzu. Could
Could
get a
easily
2-3
just
for
be
Sanshoku.
called to Haku Sanshokudora, is what I'm seeing here, is what I would like.
Yeah. A little bit unfortunate for for Max that Amy was Tenpai there and gets further away from last place. But still material to work with.
At my calculation in my head, Max doesn't need to dunk Amy into the thing. He probably just needs to win one more hand or two. I think the split was only like 5 or 6 points.
But if Amy also gained points there, then it probably neutral.
Yeah, Amy moving into second is the big problem.
All right. Yakuhai Dora 1. It's a good start. South 4, 2 Honba. Dora is the Tuso. Max has one of those, as the Yakuhai pair. We're looking at a very fast hand once again.
Definitely the fastest looking hand on the table, although Minko's hand has got some nice shapes in it. Yeah, it's just Amy's.
Yeah. Once again, though, Minko probably shouldn't be trying to force in a cheap win here. You get into that kind of gray area of Mahjong politics about whether you should get in the way of the other players if you have no chance at the first yourself. But I don't know. We'll see what happens. It certainly could shape up to something large. Now you're looking at maybe a Pinfu Itsadora 1 or something.
Yeah, it certainly it very much is a gray area to like know your win conditions and play to them, but it's like if you're making a legal, like I always say, if you're making a legal play, there's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Max looking at oh, he wants to call. Okay.
Or just draw it
Reading
yourself.
all. Yeah.
I like keeping the 7-8 here. All right, splits between potential shift towards Onitsu and keeping the nice Class B Yanmen over the 4-7 mod one. Now I guess South
You
is
just draw on and get a Honitsu.
yeah.
That's my solution to this problem. Oh no, there goes the non.
All
Haku's more
right.
live.
Hako is more live, though arguably they're maybe about the same with one's tossed to honor, but it was on turn 1, so it's not super accurate. Someone could have paired it up right after. But yeah, they're both fine tiles to keep there. And Reach is going to swing in from Vince.
Dora and try to get over 30k. Hand value itself is not enough, but and Ura will bring him over the line. Or Sumo. Will Sumo do it? Reach Sumo Dora? Yes, with the stick in the middle.
I wonder if there's some way he can get a direct hit off of Amy and hit Ura 3 or something and bump her into last.
Dora, and that will end the game, but Vince moves over 30.
And that's going to give
It's going to be very
Max.
close.
Yeah, we're just going to have to wait till it updates. I don't have patience for math.
It's going to update before I calculated it.
Too late for math like that.
Just barely short.
Man, just under 3 points. Well, Amy is still in the running then, but she does fall behind you by exactly 8 points. And everyone else, better luck next season, but they do keep their spots.
Yeah,
so
it'll take a very interesting set of games, I think, for Amy to pull away with a win here, just because of where my opponents in the game are situated too. I'm playing Bichen and I'm playing Kinyan, and they're both within 20 points of Amy.
Yeah.
And so in order for all of us to stay below Amy, I think Luce would gain so many points that Luce would just win.
Yeah, and the only other way is if people play very neutrally and trade wins back and forth, and people aren't going to be playing like that. Well, that being said, that was our last game that we'll be covering today. Thank you guys for tuning in, as usual. feel free to check out our site, Twitter, and the such. We should have that showing up soon. There we go. We are in the last of the Summer League. We'll be moving into the Fall League soon. Signups for that are closed, but we should have info out eventually. I don't know how many weeks from now, but eventually on how to join for the Winter League for the final session of the year. Until then, this has been Eric and Steve, and we wish you a good night.
Have a good one all. Thanks.